bum Josh McDaniels. And good news for Rams fans, they didn't lose yesterday. Let's get to it. $1 Million Monday with Johnny I and Momo right now.
He's got me so fired up with that Raider stuff.
Excellent, Morales.
All I know
so
is,
exciting.
as Raider fans, we get to start the year all over again.
We're
We're 2-0 on the way to 17-0.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Have you seen a team like not even conceal their distaste for a fired coach?
They were
like,
smoking cigars like they had just won the lottery
Again.
after McDaniels got
I mean,
fired.
even the stories on
They
that
did this week. They
broadcast
did yesterday,
yesterday.
too.
You hear that Melissa Stark story about Josh Jacobs? Like, oh, as soon as the coach was fired, he goes, last week I got a play chart and they had all the runs that I was going to do, and I haven't had that since the John Gruden days. And he goes, and I ran every play. And I'm like, God, this is just.
The last two games, Josh Jacobs has been over 25 attempts. And he was over 100 yards for the first time this season. Antonio Pierce, after the game, said about Devontae Adams, I'm not stupid. I know who to get the ball to. I mean, that's right at McDaniels.
A great quote.
Yeah. Well,
right
all these comments are right at McDaniels. It's and by the way, trust me.
Oh my God.
Where there's dumb, there's always dumber. Somebody is going to hire another Patriots assistant to be a head coach one day, and this is exactly how it's going to end.
Where there's dumb, there's always dumber.
Oh, yeah.
That is a John Ireland put it on the wall line.
Yeah, that it is. The fact
That's
that
great,
these
John.
Patriot assistants continue to get hired is beyond me. And you can bring up any of them, from Matt Patricia to Romeo Crennel to Eric Mangini to Josh McDaniels to Joe Judge. They can't coach. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady were the system. If you don't get one of those two guys, you're not. And I don't even know if Belichick can coach anymore. I mean, but I'm so happy that the Raiders are out of that mess. And by the way, what a dominant victory last night.
Dominant,
over the
16-12.
16. That's quality football.
Hey,
right
listen,
there.
I'll take like the interception at the end there. That was incredible.
That was beautiful.
Crosby getting picked by the ref on the last play.
Love it.
And we fought through it. And they almost lost. That Hail Mary almost landed.
Okay.
But anyway, we won.
Yeah, we have
2-0.
You guys
2-0.
made such
Let's
a
go.
great day to listen. Brian's here, Greg's here, Momo's in for Mace. We've got so much stuff. The only question is, can we get to it all? Now, Morales referenced this in the beginning. This is where I want to start.
Yeah.
I was the Lakers sideline reporter for 11 years. This was my 12th year of doing play-by-play. So I've been working at NBA games for 20-plus years. And I had never had something happen to me that happened to me on Friday night.
Really?
So here's what happened. We are broadcasting the game in Phoenix. And what has happened in these arenas, if you come, Momo, you know where I am at Staples or Crypto. You come,
Same thing.
We're about 20 rows off the floor. And we're basically in the stands when we're doing these games. So you're going to need to listen carefully here. I get to my seat. I start doing the game. And there is a woman behind me that sounds like a frog. And
What?
she will not stop. And I start getting texts. I start getting, who is that woman like behind you? But here's what it sounded like. Listen carefully. Don't pay attention to my voice. Pay attention to the voice behind me. This woman is sitting.
Are we talking Kermit the Frog level?
Listen.
Okay.
She's sitting right behind me. This clip is 9 seconds. Listen.
Okay.
LeBron to Reeves, threw it away. Reeves saves it. Back to Hachimura. Hachimura is fouled.
All right, rebound. That's one
Oh,
clip.
my
All right, now
gosh.
here's later in the game.
Here's Austin Reeves on the right side. Reeves dribbling, 15-footer, it's long, it's an air ball. Rebound grabbed by Bradley Beal. I have a feeling if Phoenix scores here, Michael Darvin will call timeout. Here is Eric Gordon, throws it away.
All right, so she won't shut up.
Is it a real voice?
Yes. Rebound. And so I turn around, and Tim Harris, my boss, is texting me like, "What's with that woman?" And I'm like, Tim, I don't know what to do. She is directly behind me. She's eventually going to burn out. So I just turn and look at her. I turn around and look at her, and she's just snarling, like she doesn't want me looking at her. And my engineer, a guy named Brian, goes, "Hey man, don't get into her because she makes it worse. If you pay attention to her, she doubles down." And I'm like, okay. So how do I handle this? I don't want this like woman behind me all the time. So
Right.
Greg, if that was the situation and I brought you into management, or I brought you in to manage it, what would you do?
I'd say just play into it. Talk about it on the broadcast. But there's a woman behind me that is really getting into really excited about this Phoenix Suns team.
Except
I would just
then
talk
you're
about it.
detracting from the game,
Yeah.
which
No.
is why you're there. Momo, what would you do?
I mean,
I would
breaks.
find my producer,
Michael
and I would
tracking
say,
me.
My producer was Greg Bergman sitting on his couch
Oh.
in Studio City.
so is there anyone on site who
No.
can go
Valley
and have
Village,
a
come
conversation?
we
on.
have no budget. There is no one on site.
Is there an usher?
Yeah, there's an usher, and I could also say something to the Suns.
You should say something to the
91
Suns.
years old.
Okay, I haven't told that part
Was-
yet.
Oh, my bad.
no.
All right, so Brian, what would you do if right behind me?
Okay, I'm thinking
screaming
this
in
is
my
like
ear.
a 40
kind of with
something.
Greg though. I think you just got to kind of play into
Okay.
it because they're going to hear it anyway.
So
Right.
she
You may hear this on your broadcast. It's
Yeah.
just a woman going crazy.
So would you have? By the way, Greg, when I told you to find it, would you have noticed it if I didn't point it out?
Not in the first quarter. So I listened to the entire first quarter just jumping through, and I barely heard. I'm like, that's nothing. And then I went to the second quarter, and I was like, okay, I can hear.
Yeah,
this
here's
one now.
the 9-second clip again.
LeBron to Reeves, threw it away. Reeves saves it. Back to Hachimura. Hachimura is fouled.
See that clip? I was like, all right, there's something going on there.
Rebound. So I don't know what to do, and
just
I'm
laugh
like,
about it.
you're right, but I'm just so I tune it out.
Is there anything you could do with the mic? Can you go like this?
No.
Like put your hands over the mic and cover
my
it.
engineer is saying, he's telling me your story. Her name is Kay. She's 91.
Oh, my
She's
God.
at every game, and she's a diehard Suns fan, and she screams until she loses her voice
But
every
you've been
night.
to Phoenix many times and you've never noticed her before.
Brand new broadcast position.
Oh,
Okay, so this is the first time I've ever done the game from this spot.
So you got it. So the Suns are probably every broadcaster who comes
Right.
through there is having this
and,
problem.
And Brian, my engineer, is saying, don't encourage or don't confront her or it's going to get worse. You just got to power through it. So I said, okay. And Michael Thompson,
there he goes.
okay,
Yeah.
is so smart.
Yeah.
They hand us stat sheets.
Yeah.
And so Michael takes one of the stat sheets.
Writes on it.
No.
No?
He just takes it, turns around and goes, your team's doing pretty good. And hands it to her. And she starts reading the sheet. And she stops yelling. And I went, oh, my God, that's genius. So I say to the Suns PR person, I go, every timeout, I need a stat sheet.
Right.
Just bring him to me after every time. When there's a timeout,
Oh, this
just
is
bring me a
good.
stat sheet. We handed Kay. I'm not kidding.
Is this real?
I swear to God. We handed her 25 stat sheets, and she after a couple minutes, she goes, thank you. Like, no one's ever this nice
my
to me.
God.
And Michael's like, here you go. Like, look at Bradley Beal. He's doing great.
Are you
Here's
saying that you tried to confuse a 91-year-old woman?
No, I'm saying,
No.
Greg,
He's
what
saying
do I
he
always
did confuse a
Greg,
91-year-old.
what do I always say?
Did you read a
if
little
you get-
okey doke
if
on the
you get
91-year-old woman?
pulled over by a cop. They are so used to being yelled at and being treated lousy that if you kill them with kindness, it almost always works. Michael killed her with kindness.
You know what? You
And
should have
then
bought her
af-
some nachos. She would
No.
have been. Her mouth would have been full of.
When
cheese.
I go back, I may do that.
Yeah.
That's good too.
Yeah. Bribe her with food.
But I've never, you would think at some point in
No.
my career, I've been doing this so
they're going to
long
have to move the broadcast position.
that I would have
Every single road
encountered
broadcaster.
last week in Denver, the Utah guy,
Yeah.
my buddy David Locke, is doing the game,
Yeah.
and somebody spilled a beer on the radio board and knocked him off the air for the first half.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
So this is a real thing that that in this world where they're moving as we've seen with Staples Center.
I have
where
an update on the
they
toilet gate.
They kneecapped the media room. The buildings and the people don't care about the media because the media
Yeah.
doesn't pay them money. So that's why they've moved all the announcers off
Okay,
of the court.
you're
because
wrong.
They can
The
sell
media
those.
pays them a lot of money for broadcast rights.
Right, but here's the thing.
The lowly internet reporters don't pay them anything.
Right, but here's the thing.
But you guys do.
Yeah, they never take us seriously, even though we pay them a fortune.
Yeah.
Because Spectrum pays them so
That's
much
true.
more.
That's true.
So we're like the redheaded stepchild to Spectrum. But the funny thing is, I don't think they will change the broadcast position, and I that's a good idea to buy her nachos.
Okay.
But the minute
I'm going to work on this for
in
you.
the
I know
fourth
someone to
quarter-
call. I know someone to call about this.
In Phoenix?
Yeah, I'm going to work on it for you.
All right. So that was
Okay. Also, since we are talking about media complaints and media
Yeah.
issues, I have an update from the bathroom at crypto.com.
Okay, hold that thought because we got to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk more about the Lakers. We'll also talk a little bit. You were at the Clipper game yesterday, right?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get into that, and we have a ton of stuff to get into today. You picked a really good day to listen. Momo and for Mace. I'm John Ireland. Mason and Ireland, ESPN LA.
Sedano. Your afternoon, sandwiched between Travis and Sliwa and Sedano and Cap. Mason and Ireland continues now.
Hey, reminder, Fifth Row Fridays are back this season. I met the Fifth Row Friday winner last night at the game. This week, you can win Fifth Row tickets to Lakers Rockets on Sunday, November 19th. That's this Sunday. Ooh. So listen to the show every day, just our show, Mason and Ireland. Take notes. On Friday, the fan who calls in and correctly answers 5 questions will win Fifth Row Lakers tickets. Lakers Fifth Row Friday, presented by BBGO, the official game day snack of the Lakers. Now, before we took a break, Ramon and I were talking about how this is a little behind the scenes, but we talk about everything around here. So at Crypto.com Arena, there used to be this media room where you would go if you were covering a game, like Lakers, Clippers, Kings, whatever game you were covering. And it was really cool. It was like a sports bar without the liquor.
Yeah.
It had like 30 TVs. It had tons of space. Mike Breen used to say it was one of his favorite places to come. And this past offseason, the folks that run crypto decided
cut it in half.
Screw it. I think they cut it by 2/3.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
They said, screw it. The media is not going to notice if we turn half this room into suites that we can. I get it. They're trying to make money and they can charge money for suites. So the media room has been completely kneecapped. You were the biggest thing you were offended by a couple of weeks ago was the bathrooms are now unisex.
Yes.
And we know that all men are pigs. And we always leave the seat up. We leave a mess.
Yeah.
And then you got to go in there and deal with it. You say you have an update.
The update is I feel very heard. Somebody must have been listening because they now have an attendant in there to straighten up after you disgusting men. So now when I go in there every single time, the stalls are nice and clean. The seats are down.
There you go.
The trash is changed. I'm not worried about contracting some kind of disease. I mean, it's so much better. Thank you. I feel heard. I still don't want to go
I don't want to go
in a
that
unisex bathroom. I go on the other side of the arena, but at least this one is better.
Yeah,
thank you.
And the atmosphere where you used to meet in there and talk and catch up with people is gone. Yeah, it's just the way one of the hazards of trying to make money in a post-COVID era, I guess. Okay, so I talked about the lady sitting behind me the other night in Phoenix. Let's talk about the Lakers themselves. They send us.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they send
trying
Austin.
To make you focus.
Austin Reeves.
LeBron to Reeves, threw it away. Reeves saves it. Back to Hachimura. Hachimura is fouled.
Just give her a stat sheet. She'll be fine.
I hope,
so good.
I hope Kay's voice has recovered.
I think
all I wanna
nachos
say.
are your call.
Okay, yeah, I may try that. I hope she likes those.
Something to occupy her for quite a while.
All right, so they beat Phoenix, bringing Austin Reeves off the bench, starting Cam Reddish. Reddish played great. Last night they played Portland without LeBron. And if you know anything about the Lakers this year, when they haven't had LeBron, they've been terrible. Awful. But they found a way to win last night, and Reddish played good again.
So Portland without everyone, though, too.
Yeah. Well, they're on their third point guard.
Yeah.
Scoot Henderson's out. Malcolm Brogdon's out. Last night they started Skylar Mays. He was just okay. And they get to play Portland again on Friday. This is a pretty
soft spot.
Fortunate week for the Lakers. Tomorrow night they'll play Memphis, who's 2-8. Although Memphis beat the Clippers yesterday. And
Memphis been in LA for like 5 days, so you'll get
We'll
that.
talk about that in a second.
bump.
Wednesday they play Sacramento, probably without De'Aaron Fox. And then Friday we go back to Portland.
Yeah,
so
gotta go 3-0.
it could be a good week. But why do you think this worked as well as it did? Reddish looks reborn. He looks like he was really struggling. He couldn't make threes.
Yep.
He couldn't find a rhythm. They put him in the starting lineup, and all of a sudden this guy looks like a major contributor. What is going on?
So I think a lot of it. There's two sides of it. The Cam Reddish question is just the guy has talent. He's just a talented player. And not everybody.
Ninth pick in the draft.
Yeah,
right?
he's a lottery pick, and he's bounced around. He was in Atlanta, and then he was in New York, and then I think he was somewhere else last year, Portland, and now he's with the Lakers. He keeps getting chances because he's got talent, and I think we all expect a lot of people who are lottery picks, but it's really hard to adapt to coming off the bench. This is not your normal way of warming up. This is not your normal way of preparing for a game. You're not integrated in the system. This is now a very clearly defined role. You have a normal starting. You're starting right away. You're going to be in the game. You know what's expected. If you play well, you're going to be in. Whereas when you're on the bench, it's like some nights you get 3 minutes. Some nights you get those minutes at the end of the first quarter, and some nights it's in the third quarter, and you're cold off the bench. That's a hard role for somebody to adjust to, and I really think that he has struggled in knowing where he fits in, and now all of a sudden they're saying this is where you fit in.
And Austin Reeves has adjusted to coming off the bench great. He's had 2 great games in a row, so hopefully
did he say anything
Lakers
publicly about it? Did he say like he wasn't?
No, but I talked to him. I mean, I talked to him all weekend. The one thing he did say publicly, and this is his personality, he said, look, my parents taught me whatever the coach says, you do it, and you don't make waves.
Yeah.
And what he told me and what he said, he goes, look, as long as we win, I'm good.
So I have this,
and I love that attitude about him.
I love that attitude, and I tend to be that way myself. My dad's had a different line, but it was similar sentiment, which was, you don't ask the coach to play any position. You don't ask the coach where you're going to play.
Right.
I'll say, I need to bat third. I want to play right field. You play where they tell you to play.
Yeah.
And you don't whine about it. You don't complain. And if you're a good hitter, you're going to bat third. They're just going to put you there. They're not going to leave their best hitter at the end of the bench. Generally, throughout my career, I think that held true. If I earned it, I would be in that lineup and in the spot I wanted to be in. However, there's just something about this where Austin should be a starter. He's a really good player, and I think for them to do anything long term, he needs to be on the court at the beginning of the game. They need to figure that out. And I feel like they just had Austin do it because they thought they would lose D'Lo if they asked him to do it.
Maybe, but I'll tell you this, and I've never seen anything like it. I've been doing this 20 plus years, and I've never seen a team as bad in the first quarter as the Lakers have been in the first 10 games.
Never.
And last night, they actually had the lead at the end of the first quarter. Now, a lot of that had to do with the opponent.
Yeah.
With Portland. But, it didn't matter before who the opponent was. They were always down by double digits, regardless of where they were or who they were playing. And so first, I got to straighten that out. The other thing I got to straighten out is offensive rebounding and second chance points. They're getting tagged every night. Last night, they actually had more offensive rebounds than Portland did. They actually were in the neighborhood in second chance points. Portland had 11.
I think
Lakers
Rui's
had 10.
really helped. Rui coming back, I thought he looked great last night. He looked like the guy that they signed to the big contract last year.
Well, Darvin has a saying, facts over feelings. Now, it's an easy thing to say. Mm-hmm. It's a very hard thing to execute, as Ty Lue is about to find out. I love Ty Lue, always have. Loved him when he played for the Lakers. I think he's a great coach. I think tactically, Ramona, he's a top 5 coach in the NBA. I think if you ask other NBA coaches who they fear would draw up a really good play against them, Ty's name comes up every time. But if you apply facts over feelings to the Clippers, they cannot play Russell Westbrook and James Harden together. It doesn't work. James Harden played 28 minutes yesterday, and he was minus 28.
Oof. I saw the minutes that he did play. I went to that game and watched it, and it's the same. He's dribbling a lot, and he can't turn the corner like he used to. But he's also nobody knows where to go. They don't know how to cut for him. They don't know how to run pick and roll for him. If you can do a blame pie, sure, he gets a lot of it. But I think a lot of it is just those guys have no idea how to play with him yet.
And they do know how to play with Russ because Russ was there last year. So if I was Ty, I would start Russ and bring Harden off the bench, which is a really hard thing to ask a guy who's on his way to the Hall of Fame to do. But he
by the way, in a contract year.
He has to do it, or else they're not going to come out of this. They're minus 79 with James Harden on the floor.
I think you give this 10 games. I'm going to be the last one standing on this island. I know it's a crazy position, but I think the best thing about Ty, the same thing happened with Westbrook. I think they won their first game and they lost 4 in a row. It's hard to integrate somebody like this who that is an all-time quote, by the way. I don't play in a system, I am the system. Yeah. That is an all-time quote.
But if the system is a losing system, it doesn't solve it. I
don't think he is. I think he's a great player. They need to learn how to play around him and off of him, and then he'll be more aggressive.
Is he a great player now, or was he a great player a few years ago?
He's not as good as he was before.
So Greg, he was, though. He was a great player.
He led the NBA in assists last season.
He also was throwing those to Joel Embiid.
Exactly.
But he has Kawhi and Paul George.
I know. Those guys will learn how to play off of him. Kawhi and Paul figured out how to play with Westbrook. They'll learn how to play with Harden. I agree with you, though. I think they have to stagger the minutes, whether that's, coming off the bench or just completely staggering the minutes. It feels inevitable because they don't play. Russ needs the ball.
They both need the ball.
Harden need the ball. By the way, Paul George needs the ball.
And I will tell you this, that, I know that, I'll include you in this because it seems like the print media in particular is enamored with the Clippers front office. You guys all talk about how they are super smart and collaborative and everything. Did they not watch what's on the Lakers? This is exactly what happened. LeBron needs the ball.
Yeah.
Russ needs the ball.
Yeah, but
That's
with
why
Paul
it didn't
and Kawhi,
work.
it was okay. With Paul and Kawhi, it's okay because they're not true. They're different than LeBron. Like LeBron really should be your system.
But
like, that's the true definition
that James needs the ball.
Yeah,
and
James
so
is
does
more
Russ.
like LeBron.
And they're starting the two of them together.
I know.
There's only one ball.
No, it's not. That
what
part's
are
not
these
going to work.
supposed geniuses at the Clippers front office looking at? We all saw this play out with the Lakers. And you guys can keep doing it. You can. Well, when do they play again?
They play in Denver tomorrow.
Okay, that's a lot. Denver is really good.
Even without Jamal Murray. They don't have Jamal for the next month.
That gives them a chance. But if they trot James Harden and Russell Westbrook out there against Denver, Jokic is going to carve them up defensively like you will not believe.
That's the bigger issue defensively.
Well,
like offensively, I think they'll figure it out. But defensively, those two guys, you lose a lot when they're there. And I think one underrated part of that trade, they traded away all their good wing players.
Right.
Like Batum is a really useful defender. He's a really good player.
I'll defend him for making the trade
Me too.
because they didn't give up anything.
No.
I mean, you just said they trade all their good wing players.
I mean, but Batum,
they still have Norman Powell, who's
Yeah.
like a really good wing player. The one guy they traded last year that I don't understand why they traded was Luke Kennard.
Yeah,
because
he didn't have a good role there.
But all right, so let's see how it plays. I mean, tomorrow in Denver's going to be hard, but they're eventually going to come to the realization you can't play those guys together, and they can sit here and put feelings over facts.
But I'll tell you this: Ty Lue is the kind of guy who's cool. Like he's not. He may not have loved that game, but he's not sweating it yet. Like you know, Ty, he's got nerves of steel.
Well, although I'll tell you, remember
after 10 games, I don't know.
Remember when Ty left in Cleveland? Mm-hmm. LeBron left. Ty was still there.
Yeah.
They started 0-6. He said, "This isn't for me."
See ya.
Everybody says, and you may be right when you say they're not going to fire Ty because he's too good of a coach, but Ty could walk. He's a confident, proud guy. He walked away from the Laker job when they offered it to him because he didn't like the terms of the deal. I mean, Ty Lue's a proud dude, and if these players aren't going to listen to him, and somebody above him is saying he has to play Russ and James together, he might walk. Ramona, they can't keep losing like this. They're going into a new building next year, and they were projected to be a championship contender this season. They made this trade because they thought they could win this year.
I'm just going to say
they're getting tagged by teams like Memphis who are terrible.
10 games. It's been 4.
Okay.
Give them 10.
All right.
Then I will absolutely switch sides if they still look this bad, but I don't think they will.
All right, we'll spin the wheel of questions coming up. Now it's time to tell you about BB-Go, the official game day snack of the Lakers. Bergman and I love BB-Go. We've been to 2 different events with a BB-Go truck, and basically all we do is camp out.
I'm hungry right
truck.
now, so anything you're saying, I just want to eat.
Mouth-watering Korean snacks and meals in minutes. Keep your freezer stocked with BB-Go for delicious meals. Korea's #1 food brand, making the whole world more delicious. Minimum effort, maximum flavors. Now, it's available at all major grocery stores in the freezer aisle. BB-Go Mandu are the largest, juiciest dumplings in the market. Every day is a day to live delicious with BB-Go, and most of all, we thank BB-Go for sponsoring Fifth Row Friday, which is the favorite promotion we have. Right? Today, Greg, we're doing $1 Million Monday and Fifth Row Friday.
Yes,
right?
we got 2 big things going on.
Yeah, those are the 2 best things we give away around here. All right, we'll spin the wheel of questions coming up next. Momo and Fermace, I'm John Ireland, ESPN LA.
All right, guys, it's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BB-Go.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, give me Laker tickets?
Yes.
We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the 5th row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
to visit you for one day, and they've never been to Los Angeles, where do you take them?
Ooh, I like that.
All right, now pretend for this question, Greg, Brian,
Yes.
Momo, money is no object. Like,
Okay.
don't worry about how much it would cost. You're trying to give them a
The first-
uniquely LA experience.
Yeah.
Let's say you can take them to 3 places in that one day. What
Okay.
pops into your head?
The first place, I always going to check and see if there's a concert at the Hollywood Bowl.
That's number one
Number
for
one.
me. Hollywood Bowl is the quintessential LA experience, particularly in the summer, and especially if you've
Yes.
never been. You at some point will sit there and say, oh my God, the Beatles played here on
Yeah.
a night like this.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's
right?
the best.
And also you can make a whole day of it. Like you can make if there's a
You
good
go to
show,
Hollywood and Highland, you can walk up the hill.
You can go to the Chateau Marmont. I think that's an underrated place to go.
Yep.
Chateau Marmont, and then you do all the history of like who, all the people who've died there, had
Right.
affairs there or whatever, lived there while they were on the outs.
Some
Yeah.
people are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Those are good.
Died and had affairs.
Well, you're either going to spend the day in Hollywood at like several different stops in Hollywood, or you're going to do the beach thing.
Bergman,
like-
where are you taking them?
So we have 3 things, right?
Yeah.
So in the morning and maybe the early afternoon, I'm going to take them down to the beach, go down to like Santa Monica, Venice Beach, kind of in that general vicinity. Then probably in that late afternoon, we'll get some lunch and go up to the Griffith Observatory, go do all that stuff up there,
Okay.
and then go down to a Dodger game at night. To
I was
finish it all
hoping
off.
somebody would say that. I think Dodger Stadium
Yeah.
is a uniquely LA experience. Brian, how about you?
Well, Dodger Stadium was one of my choices, but I'll switch that to
You can
crypto.
still do it.
Okay.
Take them to a Laker game, experience that. Also, I was thinking Santa Monica or Venice, some sort of beach, the California vibe, and then get them some like authentic Mexican food.
Yes.
Oh,
Real
good.
tacos
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
that, especially if they're not from California.
Yeah, you got to go get real. Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, that is a good idea. I would also find a way to work Nobu in, because every time I've been to Nobu, you see tons of famous
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, like some sort of West Hollywood celebrity sighting thing. Could
Right,
be
go to Craig's,
Yeah.
go to, Catch, go
Yeah.
to one of those trendy, take them to one of the Vanderpump restaurants,
Yeah.
see.
Kind of depends on what they're into. So I had a house guest stay with me. She was from Germany. She's just related to my mom's side of the family.
Okay.
She came stay with me, and it was a hard one because she's not into anything materialistic. Like she just did not care about any of the celebrity stuff, any of the Hollywood stuff. Like I took her to Chateau Marmont. She was okay. Doesn't care about Hollywood, the Walk of Fame. She's like, whatever. So I think she became let's go to take the train to Santa Barbara. Let's
Good
go.
idea. Yeah.
The train to Santa Barbara is a great train ride. It's 2 hours.
Well,
you get off right downtown. You can walk around.
Every time I
the
go to Santa Barbara, I say to myself, why the hell don't I live here?
Seriously.
It's like the nicest place
Yeah.
ever.
And it's a great train ride, by the way, because you're right around the ocean the entire ride. That's a good one. I think also like hiking any of the canyons by the beach, Temescal Canyon's a good hike. Malibu
Right.
Canyon. Those are good. Like if you're with people who are not into the scene,
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
just go to the beach.
There's so many great places in LA, but those are all good ones.
What did you
Manhattan
say,
Beach
John?
Pier,
Did
it's
you
good.
do yours?
Yeah, no, I would start during the day. I would take them probably to Gladstone's, go
Yeah.
down to the pier.
That's open again, by the way. Do you know that there was a whole thing about that?
Oh, good. And
They
then
get sold it and they closed it and then they're opening it back up.
I'd end up at Nobu for an early dinner and then finish at the Hollywood Bowl. I think that, and if there's a Dodger
It's a
game,
lot of that's a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Crosstown traffic.
Yeah, but if you time it right, you
That's
can-
also an LA experience.
yeah, you can
Crosstown traffic.
you can figure it out.
Hey,
Okay.
do you know what day it is today?
I don't.
Today is Monday, and that means it's $1 million Mondays
I
back
see
on
what you did
710.
there.
You see what I did there? That was a transition.
Brilliant.
Thanks to Hollywood Park Casino. Listen all day, every Monday for your chance to win. So that means it's going to happen sometime in today's show, sometime in Sedano and Cap, but this is all happening today. All you have to do is give us your Super Bowl prediction, both teams and the final score, and you could be winning $1 million. And just for playing, you'll get two tickets to a game at SoFi on December 3rd, so you can kind of figure out who's playing that day.
Ramon, oh, go ahead. Did you finish?
Yeah, no, not yet. $1 Million Mondays on 710 ESPN, presented by Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
I was, Momo and I were talking during the commercial break, and she was talking about how things change. You can have one opinion, and then, 6
Yeah.
months later, it could flip completely the opposite. When Mason and I started here, this is a true story, not this station, but we started together at the other station, in the 90s. We were literally giving away what we were calling reconditioned cell phones.
Ah.
Used cell phones.
Yeah.
And we were hyping it up like it was the greatest thing ever. And now I'm here on a Monday where we're giving away $1 million and we're giving away fifth row Friday Laker tickets. And it's great. We've never given away as good of stuff as we're giving away now. Shout out to the Fun and Games department. If you keep listening.
Reconditioned cell phones. How'd you do it? Do you remember how you sold them?
We just said it's free. It's a free phone. You don't even have to pay for it. Now you can go get a free phone at 18. I mean, it was stupid. And those phones didn't even work. It was just a complete waste of money. All right, so Ramona and I have been to between the two of us, have been like 1 million press conferences. And so something came up over the weekend that I'm sure this is a situation, Momo, you found yourself in. So I wanted to ask you about it. How far should a reporter push to get an answer? So you're working on a story.
Yeah.
You have a narrative in mind. You're trying to get a coach or a player to discuss what you're writing about. And a lot of times the coach or the player won't answer your question.
Right.
So how far can you go? This came up with James Franklin, the Penn State coach. They had a very high-profile game against Michigan for all the reasons we know that, Jim Harbaugh was suspended right before the game, and then Michigan beat him. And there were some questionable offensive decisions from James Franklin, and a reporter tried to get him to talk about it. And here's how the exchange went.
I don't understand the logic there. You're making an 8-point game to keep your team alive.
Okay, you don't agree with it. I'm just telling you that's the decision.
I didn't think the answer had anything to do with the second one. The first one I understand.
Yeah, we're trying to get back. We're trying to get points. We felt like points were going to be hard to come by. We wanted to get it back.
Well, there's 2.5 minutes left in the game.
All right, Dave, Audrey.
Dave, I've answered your question.
I don't think you did.
So I don't know if you heard the last part. He says, I answered your question, and the reporter said, I don't think you did. How far is it
That's
okay
too far
to push?
I think that was too far. To me, that's too far because I think he did answer the question. He said, we're trying to get back in the game. And the reporter just disagrees with him.
Right.
Like, it's a stupid answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So let it be a stupid answer. Let it be there.
Here's the thing about press conferences. Most of the time, the people at the press conference, the people you're interviewing, are playing defense.
Yeah.
This came up with the Dodgers when nobody in the room asked about Dave Roberts.
Yeah.
Like, are you just bringing back Dave Roberts? And finally, our buddy Bill Plunkett said, you guys keep repeating this pattern. You'll have a great regular season, you'll get into the postseason, and you'll lay an egg. And yet you don't change the manager or anything else. Is that just arrogance?
Yeah.
And Andrew Friedman said, maybe it is, but we feel good about the way we're doing stuff here. When it gets confrontational like that guy got, I don't know if it serves your purpose. Because now at Franklin, whenever that guy asks a question, it's going to be on defense for the rest of their relationship. Mm-hmm. It doesn't do you any good to put the guy on defensive, right?
No, and I think also, I did that yesterday with Ty Lue. I asked him a question about James Harden, and he basically said, James, when you join a new team, sometimes, you're not as aggressive because you're trying not to upset the apple cart or something.
Right.
And I just wanted a clarification. I just said, is it too far to say he's being too polite? And he goes, yeah, But the way he answered me was like a one-word answer, and I wasn't sure if he was agreeing with me that he's being too polite. And I said, can you expound on that? And he said, yeah, he's being too polite.
Good. So
I was
you
just
got
clarifying.
the quote from him rather than
correct.
having,
Yeah, don't just say yes to my question.
Well, you violated a Swatsky
I know
rule.
the yes or no.
Yes or no.
I know.
But the
I don't think it was too far at all.
With that reporter?
With James Franklin. I mean, he was apparently what was happening. It was 2.5 minutes left in the game. They scored so that they're down by 9. He was asking why he didn't go for 2 to get it down to 7.
Well, really, to me, 7 or 8 doesn't matter. You're going to have to.
Well, yeah, but if you get the 2 there, I mean,
right. But if you're
touchdown.
down, but if you don't get the 2, you're out.
Right. I mean,
if you're down 8, you're still alive.
I mean, at least try and get close there. I don't know.
Right.
I just didn't think he had a question. He didn't feel like it was answered, so he was saying, "Hey, answer my question," because it didn't sound like he answered it.
Well, this is a dance that goes on with politicians all the time. George Stephanopoulos had a guy on last week that he asked like 4 times, do you think the election was legitimate? And the guy just didn't answer all 4 times.
Yeah, they just
so it happens every once in a while. All right, coming up, 2 o'clock call of the day, 877-710-ESPN, 877-710-3776. You can talk about any of the stuff we've talked about, or you can go off the board. Bergman and I texted over the weekend. It took Greg a little longer to get there, but he is now with me that Chip Kelly needs to go. I don't know anybody who can make the opposite argument, Greg.
No,
I mean, this was the worst loss in Chip Kelly's entire tenure Saturday at the Rose Bowl. Just absolutely brutal to an Arizona State team who stinks. And so you can talk about that. You can talk about USC. You can talk about the Lakers. You can talk about the Clippers. You can talk about the NFL. 877-710-3776. 877-710-ESPN. We'll tackle your calls next. Mason in Ireland, Momo in Fermace, ESPN LA.
Every Friday, we're giving
Ireland, the number one most downloaded sports podcast in Los Angeles. The number one most downloaded sports podcast in Los Angeles, and we thank all of our podcast listeners for that.
If you ever miss a moment, get your fill anytime. Just search Mason in Ireland wherever you get your podcast.
All right, Mason in Ireland, 1 hour down, 2 more to go. Momo in for Mace. Lots of stuff to get to. It's time for the 2 o'clock call of the day. We'll see how many of these we can get to. Here's John in Long Beach. Hey, John, you're on ESPN LA. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. What do you want to talk about?
Just wanted to comment on the Lakers. I just like to see them play big more often, and that frees up 2 of the top 5 wingmen that we have.
By the way, John, Dave McMenamin has an article that dropped today on ESPN.com that addresses exactly what you're talking about. Why the Lakers like to play big, why they should play big, why Anthony Davis is encouraging him to play big. You should absolutely check that out because it's exactly what you're asking about. So go to ESPN.com and check it out. Thank you for the phone call. And Ramona, I think that Christian would because he can play inside and out.
Yeah.
And Anthony Davis can play. People don't know this about Anthony Davis. When Anthony Davis was a sophomore in high school in Chicago, he's 6'1".
Really?
He had a 9-inch growth spurt between his sophomore year and his freshman year at Kentucky.
6'1".
Yeah, he was 6'10" by the time he got to Kentucky.
So he was a guard.
Right. So he has ball handlers. And so if you've got bigs like that, and Jackson Hayes is pretty nimble as a pick-and-roll guy too, you can twin tower teams that are small. So I think you'll see more of that coming up. Here is Sophie in Venice. Hey, Sophie, you're on ESPN LA. Hi. I think I know who this is.
Oh, my God.
It's actually Sophie
too.
in Venice.
Wait, did you hang up on?
No, Sophie hung up on herself.
That was amazing.
So Mason is that bored? He's calling the show as
can
his
I hear the
if you're that
dog
bored,
bark again?
if you're that bored, just come into work.
That was so great. Sophie in Venice.
Yeah, we'll replay that.
That's the name of one of Mason's dogs.
Yeah, here's Justin in.
He should have stuck with the bit and did the whole call.
Yeah, it says Justin in Dallas. Justin, are you in Texas?
I am. Yeah, I used to live in Orange County a long time ago. I just moved here about a couple years ago. I've called in before.
Okay, good.
All right. Real quick, I was listening to you and Michael call the game last night, and I heard Michael put the game in the refrigerator.
Oh, he does it all the time, Justin. He does it way too early.
I know.
Yeah.
Last night, I feel like he almost jinxed us. Next thing you know,
you're right. They almost blew it at the end of the game.
Well, if the Lakers get up by more than 6, Michael says, Ireland, this game's over. And he tries to send Doug Mann, our stat guy, home.
Does he use the refrigerator? Does he invoke the Chick Hearn?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes he does.
But and for people who don't know, for people that are young, Chick Hearn, the legendary great Laker announcer, used to put games in the refrigerator when he thought they were over, and he only missed once in his whole 40-year career in Denver. And he said, he goes, Lakers lose this game, I'll walk home from Denver. And Sue Stratton, who was doing the games, put a graphic up and said, miles from Denver to L.A. How long will it take to walk?
Because it was a whole thing. It was like...
Right.
This is in the refrigerator. The door's closed. The Jello's jiggling. The eggs are the butter's getting hard. The eggs are what else is happening?
Justin, they were up by probably 10 with a minute and a half to go, and they just blew it.
Oh,
and
we could forgive him for that.
I will Michael will be in tomorrow, Justin, and I will pass your concern on to him. I don't think it'll do any good. He consistently,
yes, please do.
He consistently puts games. Calls games as being over long before they're over. So we'll keep harping on him. And by the way,
thanks, John.
Oh, you got it. Thanks for calling. Dallas is really good this year.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because their guards don't play
Luka
any
and
defense.
Kyrie are good.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. Here's Jerry in Hacienda Heights. Hey, Jerry, you're on ESPN LA. Hi.
Hey guys, I've been watching Jaime Jaquez the last couple of games, and he's doing pretty well. The Lakers had a chance to pick him up during the draft, and they passed him. Miami picked him up right after the Lakers gave up on him.
Yeah, I love Jaquez. It was funny because Sedano, who's really tied to the Heat and knows all those guys, said there's no way they'll take him. He's not a Heat kind of guy. And I thought he's exactly a Heat kind of guy because he plays really hard-nosed and tough, and he doesn't make mistakes. I actually think, Jerry, he's going to be a perfect fit down there.
You know who he reminds me of is like a Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah.
Same,
like that kind of
guy.
Who also played for the Heat for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're right, Jerry. I wouldn't – the Lakers are still very high on Jalen Hood-Schifino, who's a little younger than Jaime. Fino hasn't played yet, so the jury's still out on him. But I'm a big Jaime Jaquez guy. I think that and he's easy to root for because he's such a good dude.
He crashes the boards. He shoots threes pretty good. He passes pretty well.
Yeah, I there's nothing not to like about Jaime Jaquez.
That's a very Miami Heat type of pick. Pick a dude who can play. Ready to go, don't need to develop him.
And he's not going to, at any point, make your team worse.
Would he even fit into this offense that Darvin Ham runs? He seems to fit very well in the system that Spoelstra runs, where he can kind of be free and move around and do what he wants to do. More so, and this is a 5-out scheme, 4 out, 1 in. Doesn't seem like that would be fitting with his skill
Yeah, but
set.
they're getting killed on the boards.
Right.
Like to me,
Yeah,
I'm
but
like
because you're told to stay out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a Darvin Ham thing, but also it's Spoelstra. Like they're allowing Jaquez to move inside and do those kind of things. And same with what's the shooter?
Duncan Robinson.
Duncan Robinson, yeah. He's allowed to kind of do what he wants to do and move around and get screens. That's not this offense.
Yeah, I think Jaquez is going to have a long NBA career.
Me too.
And I think you're right, Greg. The Lakers, all the guys the Lakers went out and got were kind of athletic, based on athletic.
Long
you
wings.
Yeah, you wouldn't say that about Jaime. He's just really tough and hard-nosed.
He seems like a Warriors kind of guy, too.
Right.
Perfect in Miami.
Yeah, he would, kind of work out that way. Here's Vincent in L.A. Hey, Vincent, you're on ESPN L.A. Hi.
Hey, guys. Just wanted to comment on the Cam Reddish lineup change. I think Ham is doing his best to boost that kid's morale. He kind of seems like an emotional player. So I think he's giving him this opportunity to boost his confidence, and maybe that's when he'll be the most beneficial, when he's got that extra boost of confidence.
Vincent could not agree with you more, and here's something to think about. So Cam Reddish was one of the most highly recruited high school players ever.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to Duke, and he's on the same team as R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson, and all three of them are freshmen. And all three of them get taken in the lottery. Zion went number 1. So Reddish is a freaky good athlete, but he needs confidence. He needs to, he needs to be put into a role where. And did you notice, like twice last night, he stole the inbounds pass? I mean, he's exactly the type of guy you want in your lineup, making plays and stirring things up. I'm very impressed. We interviewed him after the game last night. I'm just very impressed with what he's done with this opportunity, and I hope he keeps it up.
Well, he's been waiting for an opportunity like this for a while. Like, he got to New York, and Thibodeau, they wouldn't trade a first-round pick for him, and then Tom Thibodeau just wouldn't play him. And it's hard. It's just hard to sit the bench. It's hard to not know why you're not playing or not be given a chance to do something about it. I don't think that's something anybody would deal with, let alone a guy who has the profile you described.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Momo. What's your dream? Do you still have a big dream, like something that you would love to do one day, but you haven't done it yet?
Are you thinking about 10 years from now, or
however you want to answer?
Yeah, I got a few of those.
All right. Tell me one. Doesn't matter. Like, what would you love to do that you haven't done yet?
I would love to be able to go and live in Europe for the summers.
Good answer. Okay.
Like, rent a house there, learn Italian, bike to the market every day.
There is a college football coach who has stolen my dream.
Oh.
He has just outright stolen it, and I'll tell you who it is next. Momo Informace, Mason in Ireland, ESPN LA.
The return. All right, guys, it's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, give me Laker tickets?
Yes.
We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the fifth row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
return of $1 Million Mondays.
$1 Million Mondays.
Your chance to win $1 million from 710 ESPN.
Listen every Monday this football season for your chance at $1 million. $1 Million Mondays.
Presented by Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
Listen every Monday to 710 ESPN. When you hear the cue to call, be caller number 7. Give us your Super Bowl prediction. Both teams and the final score, and you could be winning $1 million this football season on LA's $1 Million Mega Sports Station, 710 ESPN.
We do have caller number 7. It's Gilbert Cubius in Montebello. Gilbert, you know the drill here. What you got to pick the Super Bowl teams, and you got to give me a winner. What do you got?
Woo! Let's go! I just want to say thank you, guys. Thank you. And I got a Ravens over Eagles, 28-21.
I like that.
All right, Ravens 28. Eagles 21. That's a good pick, man. Hope you win it. And Greg, he gets something just for winning this far, right?
Just for playing, just for winning, getting on. You win tickets to a game at SoFi on December 3rd, Sunday, December 3rd.
All right, so congratulations, Gilbert. Glad you got through. We've got Ravens 28, Eagles 21, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Have fun at SoFi, and thank you for listening, and thank you for calling, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, John.
All right, man. Have a great day. That's Gilbert Cubius in Montebello. Ravens 28, Eagles 21. That's a solid pick.
Yeah.
If you had to pick the Super Bowl teams, who would you pick?
I like, I did like the Ravens, and then they lost yesterday.
Yeah, I'm going Niners Chiefs.
I don't know about the Chiefs yet. I don't know about the AFC.
Well, but yesterday the Bengals lost.
I think the Niners and the Niners and the NFC.
By the way, did you guys see who the?
I like Cincinnati. I don't know why I like them. I know they ruined your survivor pool.
Do you guys see who?
So annoying.
Oh, I got to talk to you about that. Did you guys see who the Thursday night game is this week?
Who?
It's great. Did you see it, Bergman?
No, who is it?
Bengals Ravens.
That's a really good game.
Wow.
Like last week, it was like the worst Thursday night game
it's a
ever.
makeup game.
It was like Bears Panthers.
Oh yeah, I actually sat through that whole game. I don't know why. Maybe because it was just football, but I watched the whole thing.
I'm actually glad this came up. I was going to bring this up later, but since we're talking about it, what's with all the Al Michaels hate?
Seriously, Mason and I talked about this the other day.
So, Greg, what are you telling me?
It's not because he's a legend and he's amazing, and you still want to listen to him. It has nothing to do with that. But he's getting things wrong, and he's getting some things that are pretty simple wrong, and people are just pointing it out and telling him that, like, hey, this is a problem. If you're doing something wrong, people can say you're doing something wrong. Not saying he's not a legend, not saying he's not great, but he's getting some stuff wrong, and he has no energy.
I haven't seen that. I have seen people getting on him. What I'm talking about is I've seen people getting on him for a lack of enthusiasm.
Zero enthusiasm. He did the game between the Jags and the Chargers in the playoffs when the Jags made this miraculous comeback in the second half. Sorry, Brian, and beat the Chargers. And he had no energy whatsoever. He's just like, okay, here they come.
Now
the Jags win the game.
See, there's where I disagree.
Why?
And let me. And
you didn't meet the moment.
I absolutely disagree. And I think
how is that not meeting the moment?
I think here's the problem. There's this new generation of announcer, guys like Gus Johnson, who come out of their shoes, who are really good.
Gus Johnson's been around forever.
Yeah, but he's
that's
over the top.
That's who like the kids like these days.
Right.
You know,
Al,
that's who goes viral on Twitter.
You guys know how who used to make mistakes at the end of his career all the time?
Chick Hearn.
And Vin Scully. And it was just because you had their voice attached to an event made it bigger. Do you guys know how lucky we are to have Al Michaels calling football games? I mean, shut up with this. Al Michaels is terrible.
Okay.
He's not.
I have a
he
theory.
just isn't.
To be criticized.
I have a theory. Chick Hearn and Vin Scully were the announcers for one team for most of their careers.
Right.
And at some point, they stepped back from the national work they used to do. Right. I don't think Chick ever really did much national.
He did for a while, but
little bit,
not a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And Vin Scully did some national. He did the World Series.
Yeah, for about 20 years.
But by the end of his career, he stepped back and he did local broadcasts. And all of us had civic treasures. Okay, I would put Ralph Lawler in that category, and I would put John Miller in there. And who the Kings guy? Bob Miller.
Bob Miller.
I'm sorry, John Miller is also the Giants guy. When you have a local fan base, people connect with you. And Mason and I have talked about this. You've talked about this. It's different when I'm on radio here in L.A. People go, do you ever want to do a national radio show? Not really. I would rather do local.
Yeah, because
people know you here.
Yeah, and you have a tracker. But I just find the criticism
Al's
of Al
the national
Michaels
broadcaster.
incredibly misplaced.
I know, and people don't have I don't think they have the attachment to him that you and I do.
Yeah, and by the way, this is another byproduct of social media.
Yep.
Now everybody has a voice, and so you just, people ripping people anyway. All right, let me get to my dream.
Okay,
because
I like your dreams.
My dream has been stolen.
Is there music along with it?
I don't know, but my dream has been stolen.
Okay.
All right. Over the weekend, Texas A&M fired Jimbo Fisher, their football coach.
Yes.
As part of his firing, and I'm not exaggerating, he's getting a $65 million buyout.
Buyout. Not what's left on his contract.
That is what's left on his contract.
Okay.
$65 million, but it was guaranteed, and so he's getting
Is there an
all of
offset?
it.
Like if he goes and works someplace, do you know if there's an offset?
All right. According to the terms of the contract, Texas A&M will owe Fisher $19 million within 60 days.
Oh.
Then pay him $7.2 million annually through 2031. There is no offset.
Oh, wow.
Or mitigation on those payments. And the annual payments start 120 days after termination.
So there's
Bergman,
no offset. So you know
since you're in management now, I'm just letting you know, I want the Jimbo Fisher terms in my next contract. That if you fire me, you got to start paying me within, what is it?
60 days.
60 days to get all that money?
60 days, deliver the wheelbarrow full of cash. How in the world did this happen? How did he steal my dream, Greg?
I know you would love this.
This is my dream.
You had it before. How did it happen when you were on the beach?
It was the greatest 6 months of my life. So this was.
But how much did you get? All the money
all
within
of it.
right away?
In 2011.
Okay.
We had kind of a rogue GM, and he came in and he said, "All right, we're cleaning house. We're doing a comedy show in the afternoon." And he pulled me in. He goes, "Mason's going to work by himself, and Dave Damashek's going to do afternoons. And Ireland, we're going to pay you through the end of your contract, but you're done." And it was November.
Wow.
And I said, "Wait a minute. I get paid through the end of June?" He goes, "Yes." I go, "Thank you." And I walked out with this huge smile on my face. But I've never been able to get it again.
Okay, wait. So you literally took that and said thank you and didn't worry about it?
No, because I still had my KCAL job.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you had another job.
Yeah.
So you still had a job.
Oh, yeah. And they were paying me to do Mason in Ireland for 6 months when I didn't have to do it.
So you weren't worried about like your career.
No, you
and
know what happened
it would
at the
do?
end of June?
Yeah.
We started Mason and Ireland up again. I know. Yeah. And so it's like I got 6 months. It was the greatest. Jimbo Fisher is never going to have to work again. And they have to pay him $7 million a year.
The no offset is the most amazing part.
Yeah, so if he gets another job,
yeah, he still gets
he gets this on top of that. Momo, how do I get this deal?
You don't. You have no leverage for that. There's no way you can get that.
Is that
well? Listen, this is every day in corporate America,
and is
like,
this not
CEOs
one of the greatest deals in sports history? Though
it's a golden parachute,
right?
I mean, that is the definition of a golden parachute. Did he get some stock too? I mean, that's basically what every failed CEO in America gets. You get a job as CEO, you suck at it, and you get paid $50 million to go away.
I'm stunned that somebody at Texas A&M, and by the way, they're going to have to pay the new coach.
Yeah.
They're talking about, maybe offering this to Dion or offering this to Dan Lanning in Oregon. And so the new coach is going to get a contract similar to this one. It's crazy.
So when somebody spends money like this, it means that they really are that is chump change to them. That means there's nothing that they're worried about, because like people who can just waste money on stuff like that means that they have plenty of money to waste.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
That's what I need. I need somebody with
It's
plenty
oil
of money
man.
to waste.
That's why we're paying $7 a gallon at the pump.
By the way, on this last road trip, where was my last stop? Phoenix? No, it was in Houston.
Oh gosh, what was the gas?
$3 a gallon.
Come on.
I paid $6.50 today.
Come on.
$3 a gallon in Houston. But you'd have to live in Houston. But still,
yeah, I know.
I mean, come on.
There's all sorts of reasons for that.
Yeah, it is still.
It's all of our clean air standards and our taxes.
It's awesome. All right, let me ask you about
who needs schools.
Okay, let me.
That's what it goes to pay for.
All right, let me ask you about this. Yeah. USC played at Oregon on Saturday. Oregon won the game. Oregon stuck the USC marching band in the worst seats
this is
possible.
not cool.
Most schools put the band near the field, near their fans, but not Oregon. Anything wrong with what the Ducks did?
I'm not a fan. I also wonder if there is a precursor, because you don't now USC will do the same thing to them. But
Correct.
maybe they already did do the same thing to them. Maybe that's why Oregon did it. And have they been doing this to every other marching band? Is this USC related, or is this standard operating procedure?
So here's a picture of it. That's the USC band. Like in the highest, smallest.
There's no way you could hear them.
Corner. And well, they obviously did it deliberately. And to your point, it's a little bit of payback for what USC did to the Ducks last year. They were pushed to the very top of the Coliseum.
Well, there you go.
And, I was talking about earlier broadcast positions for radio announcers and stuff. You have to realize that if you do this to them, they're going to do it to you.
Yeah, that's
and so you're in essence screwing yourself.
Yeah.
And like in the NBA, there's a rule that you have to give us a broadcast position better than or equal to what you give the home announcers.
Okay.
All right, which seems fair, but not every team follows it. For example, in Denver,
I know this.
Mike Malone doesn't want anyone next to the Nuggets bench who isn't employed by the Nuggets. So he'll let his guys go down there. But on the other, and he says, tell the Laker guys go down by the Laker bench. Well, so for the opener this year, we ESPN Radio came because it was a big national game. So they put ESPN Radio next to the Laker bench. And they called us and they said, okay, here's the deal. We're going to put the Nuggets people next to our bench and put you and Michael up high. Unless you don't want that, and then we'll put the Nuggets people up high with you. Well, we don't want to do that to them.
Yeah, that's bad karma.
And I said, no. If your coach is being adamant, let the Nuggets radio guys sit next to the bench and we'll go up high. But now it starts this reciprocity thing where I think whoever started this, whether it be at USC or at Oregon, cooler heads need to prevail.
Yeah, come on.
What are we doing here?
So
this gets back, Ramona, to my whole thing about how sports is entertainment.
Yes.
And it's good to have the band down near the field, next to the cheerleaders, next to the fans. It's all part of the pageantry.
Yeah.
Stop screwing the bands.
Last year in Denver was the absolute worst media setup I have ever experienced for
How
the finals.
so?
For the finals. They had a couple of media seats in some okay spots. Even the ones that were the okay spots were not good. Okay. And then most of the media was up in the 300 level section. They didn't have tables for you to write on and put your computer. They were like seats they couldn't regular seats.
Yeah.
And then they put tables on top of it, so you just really couldn't. I mean, I'm really short, so like that's like I was sitting like this, and I just was like, what am I even doing? Like, I'm just not even going to come sit up here. I'd just rather watch it on TV because you had to go to the 300 level section. You couldn't see anything. It was like, and I understand there's a lot of media there for the finals, but like the Heat figured it out. Every other place we've covered, there's a way to figure it out if it's a priority for you.
Right. Well, what has happened over the last...
It's just not a priority for anybody anymore.
Right. What's happened over the last 5 to 10 years, and I actually understand it even though it affects me negatively.
Yeah.
They've determined that the good seats, the seats where they used to put the media, they can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And so I'm guessing it was probably Mark Cuban, who always is really penny-wise.
Yeah.
Probably went to the owners' meetings and goes, look, why are we giving the media these courtside seats? What are we doing? Let's put them up high, have them do their job up there since they're not paying us, and we'll put fans in the courtside seats. And now we're seeing, this was the same thing with the band. The band's not paying us. Why are we giving up prime real estate and seats we can sell?
And there was probably something even before that started it. Probably something Oregon did, or the Oregon band did, ticked off someone at USC, and they just decided to do that. I mean, listen, I go to Stanford. I know bands that misbehave.
Greatest band in the country ever.
I don't know.
Favorite band of all time. I know you get mad at them sometimes, but
I get mad. But listen, they are a shell of their former selves because we have just been, punished and sanctioned and edited
by your own school.
By our own school,
I know.
They get mad too.
You still have a tree.
It's not even a real tree anymore. It's a stupid tree. It's the
worst
worst tree I've ever seen.
They have neutered the tree.
Let me show you I have a picture of the tree. It is not a real. It's like a recycled tree or something.
Right,
it's like, what the heck is that? It's not
so
the tree.
for people who don't know the backstory,
get off my field. You're not the tree.
Stanford is obviously a very prestigious academic institution, but it's also a liberal think tank. And so years and years ago in the 70s, Stanford used to be the Indians.
That's right.
And the powers that be at Stanford said, that's offensive.
It is.
We don't want to offend the Indians. So they decided to come up with a new name, and they named the school.
Wait, there's a little addition there. First, they let the students vote on what the new name should be.
And then they picked what?
The students decided that we should be the Leland Stanford Jr. Robber Barons, which was sort of a thumb your nose at somebody, okay? Because Leland Stanford was a robber baron. Like that,
They not surprisingly did not adopt the name
correct.
Robber Barons.
And they decided we're either Ivy League or the West. And so like the Ivy League schools, our mascot will be a color. Not an actual color.
Yeah.
So they picked cardinal, which is a color, not the bird. It's just a color.
Not the bird, not the Pope, not it was the card.
Right, like the Dartmouth is big green, and Harvard is the crimson. So we like to think of ourselves as an Ivy League school. So we took an Ivy League-esque name, and so the band said that's stupid, and we're going to make fun of you. So we're going to get our own mascot, and it's going to be a tree.
And the tree's been great for many, many years.
Yes.
The tree always makes fun of everything that's politically incorrect, and now they've even neutered the tree.
I'm going to find the picture of the tree. It's just, I don't know.
Okay, coming up, we haven't talked about the Jim Harbaugh thing, which is an ongoing saga at Michigan, but there is one scenario, Momo, a card Michigan can play that I think would end this story overnight, and I'll tell you what it is coming up. First, this Friday is going to be another Feel Good Friday on the road. We'll be live at the Sunday Swagger headquarters from 1 to 5:30 to kick off their Black Friday sale. Mace, Cappy, Corporate Greg, producer Lindsay, and Morales will be broadcasting live with tons of deals, tons of great gifts for the holidays. We'll see you Friday afternoon, Sunday Swagger, 22687 Old Canal Road in Yorba Linda. Coming up next, where I think the Michigan saga could go. And in about 15 minutes, we'll get Greg and Brian in here, do a little What's Up Fool. Momo and for Mace, I'm John Ireland, ESPN LA. Big news, Laker fans. John Ireland here. You can now stream every Lakers game on the ESPN LA app. Don't miss a second of the action with Michael Thompson and I on the call. Plus, all your live and local Lakers talk every day in the palm of your hand.
You're one tap away from everything Lakers.
You could even win Lakers tickets.
Download the ESPN LA app. And bam!
Download the ESPN LA app at the App Store and Google Play.
so far from home.
All right, Mason in Ireland, Momo in for Mace, and we're getting ready for What's Up, Fool in about 10 minutes. At the top of the hour, we're going to talk about Lane Kiffin and a lawsuit he's involved in that's pretty fascinating. But I wanted, Momo, we haven't talked about the big story in sports, which is Jim Harbaugh suspended on Friday and was not on the sidelines when Michigan beat Penn State on Saturday. Did, in your opinion, the NCAA get, or it's actually the Big Ten, did they get it right?
Well, you know my opinion, which is this is a dumb scandal. This is like, I don't even know why this is scouting. I don't think it's cheating. I think the guy with the Scooby-Doo glasses on, on the sideline, I don't know why anybody would have thought he was part of. He didn't get into any meetings. He's not going to get anything. I think this is dumb. Slap on the wrist, say you're sorry, and move on. Like I don't know why. And now they suspended him for 3 big games, hoping that it'll mitigate any future suspension. But if I don't even know why they had to suspend him for anything. It's just this is the dumbest scandal. I would have had my coaches back and buried them.
I think when they started to involve electronics, Greg, when the Google glasses came into it, and the guy put on gear from the other school, that's when they crossed the line. What do you think?
Yeah.
Did they get it right?
I think, I mean, it is a little slap on the wrist, like Momo was saying, because I don't like the fact that they brought electronics into it. It's kind of like with the Houston Astros scandal where they had the electronics. That's where it took it over the top. But it's the same thing that
what
you
did he
can
get
see
from
no
those
matter
glasses,
what.
though?
He saw the coaches and their signs, and then saw the play, and then saw the coaches and the signs,
and he's on
and then
their
saw the
sidelines, which is a little.
I know
he didn't
that.
Get, he
to
didn't
me,
get a
that
credential.
guy should get suspended.
Well, he got fired.
Fired, yeah. I mean,
well,
he didn't get that much. I don't know.
All right, so here's, I think there should be some punishment. I don't know. I think there's 2 things here that nobody's saying the quiet part out loud. Here's the first one. Everyone just hates Harbaugh.
Yeah.
They just hate him.
That's true.
And if this was a different coach, this probably wouldn't have done it. But he's just.
He bothers people, yeah.
Yeah, because he's a rule breaker and he just does whatever he wants. That's number one. But
he's also got a personality. He's just got the arrogance to him.
Right.
I love Harbaugh. I don't.
Right, but you were a Stanford.
Yeah.
He turned your program around. There's a nuclear option here that no one's talking about. And I'm curious if it's going to come up. So Michigan has hired lawyers, and they're going to try and get this mitigated, and they're going to try and get Harbaugh back on the sidelines for the Maryland game this weekend and especially for the Ohio State game in 2 weeks. So this may play out in court and get decided there. But if they don't, all right, let's say they go to court and they lose.
Yeah.
What if Michigan came out tomorrow and said, we're being singled out. There's no other program in this conference that would be treated this way. And you're going to reverse this decision or we're out of here. We're going to the SEC and we're taking our millions with us. Wouldn't the Big Ten have to cave?
You don't make that leap unless you know the SEC will take you.
What do you think? It's Michigan. They're worth millions.
If I were them, I'd go to the ACC. Where you can dominate.
Go right.
You don't want to go.
Go wherever you want. But Michigan is an elite sports school. Elite. If they threatened to walk, and basically said, "Look, you're not treating us in good faith," and all these, there's only going to be 2 conferences in 5 years from now anyway.
That's the biggest point.
And we're not in the business of making you money because we don't respect you and you're treating us unfairly. We're out of here. Wouldn't the Big Ten then call a meeting and say, all right, everybody calm down. They'll do what Lincoln Riley did when he suspended that reporter. Lincoln Riley tried to suspend a reporter.
So dumb.
It was super stupid. 3 days later, he reversed field and goes, oh, yeah, we overreacted. We're not going to do that. Wouldn't the Big Ten cave, Greg, if Michigan threatened to leave?
I mean, they probably would a little bit, but the fact of the matter is it's going to go to a 2-league conference anyway, or 2-league just league anyway.
Right, and if I'm Michigan, I'm going to the other league.
So then at that point, these leagues won't matter anyways. There's not going to be the head of the Big Ten and the head of the SEC. It's basically going to be all NCAA.
I wonder what the broadcast deal says.
Yeah,
I want to get the fine point. The lawyer. I need to know the fine point.
I don't think they'll ever leave the Big Ten, and if they did leave the Big Ten, the SEC would be the right place to go. ACC is going to disappear at some point.
No, then probably Big 12 then.
Well,
they have more in common with the remnants of
teams in
there. As we found, guys,
it's a 2 conference.
Think about this
system.
The second that USC and UCLA jumped ship, that's when the Pac-12 began to crumble.
That's right.
And in less than a year, they were gone because those were the two biggest teams in the biggest markets.
Yep.
Right now, the
It's
two
your
biggest
fault.
teams in the Big Ten are Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah.
They'd have to get Ohio State to go with them to the SEC.
No, they wouldn't because
you need to take the two.
Okay, but think about this, Greg. USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon are coming into the Big Ten next year.
Yeah.
So they're covered. But
Yeah.
Michigan is competitive in basketball. They're competitive in football. They're competitive in all sports. They're a top 5 athletic college in this country.
Yeah.
And if they feel like they're being treated, I get in arguments with my wife about this all the time.
Yeah.
I give people one chance to screw up. Like if we're working, like we're building a house. Okay,
Yeah.
the contractor comes in, screws everything up. I go back.
You need like 7 chances.
I go back and say, Lisa does, but I come back and say, hey, this is not what we talked about.
Yeah.
This is not what I'm paying for. You need to fix it.
Yeah.
If they don't fix it, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm moving on to something. I don't have time to deal with people that are incompetent.
Yeah.
If Michigan feels, and I think they do, that they're being treated unfairly and they're being treated in bad faith and they just threaten to leave, I think the Big Ten says, okay, we're gonna lower the suspension. Cooler heads are gonna prevail. Sit Harbaugh out for Michigan. He can come back for Ohio State. I think that would end it. Do you agree or disagree?
Probably end it because I don't think that. Well, I just want to know the fine print,
right?
Because like that broadcast contract might tie them. They might lose a lot of money by leaving. Like the way those contracts are written, like you can't just leave.
But if they threaten to leave, and Tony Petitti, who used to be a television executive and who's the commissioner of the Big Ten, who hit him with this penalty, has no other choice but to get in a room with him and try and work it out.
I want to know who turned all this in. Like there's definitely some whistleblowers here.
Well, not only that, did you see that other schools were given Purdue, Michigan's game signals and their plans? I mean, teams. That's how much people hate Harbaugh. They just don't want Harbaugh to succeed.
Right.
But if Michigan says, "Look, you need us more than we need you," and if you're going to treat us like this, we're out. That's basically what UCLA and USC did. They basically went to the Pac-12 and they told Larry Scott and they told George Klevikoff, "Look."
It's a name I never want to hear again.
Get a deal that's going to pay us comparable to what the other schools are getting paid, or else we're out of here.
Yeah.
And those guys dragged their feet and dragged their feet and dragged their feet, and finally USC and UCLA looked at each other and goes, these guys are incompetent boobs. We don't want to be in business with them, and we're out of here. If Michigan threatened to do that, I think this story ends quickly.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they will.
Look, James Harden's gotten traded 4 times in 5 years.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Doing the same thing.
All right, coming up next, What's Up, Fool? We'll get Brian and Greg in here. They'll throw a bunch of stuff at us. Momo Informace. I'm John Ireland, ESPN LA.
It is James Harden.
The return of $1 Million Mondays.
$1 Million Mondays.
Your chance to win $1 million from 710 ESPN.
Listen every Monday this football season for your chance at $1 million. $1 Million Mondays.
Presented by Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
Listen every Monday to 710 ESPN. When you hear the cue to call, be caller number 7. Give us your Super Bowl prediction. Both teams and the final score, and you could be winning $1 million this football season on LA's $1 Million Mega Sports Station, 710 ESPN. And yes, it's around 2:45 in the Southland. You know what we do each weekday at 2:45. What's up, fool? And we've been very excited that What's Up, Fool is made possible by our friends at Dos Hombres. In fact, we've got a special guest voice. Take it away, guest voice.
What's Up, Fool is brought to you by Dos Hombres Mezcal. It's fate. It's friendship. It's mezcal. Dos Hombres.
Look at that. How do I follow that? I don't. So I simply say, take it away, Corporate Greg.
Thanks, Morales. All right, I was going to do something on C.J. Stroud, who's just having an incredible year.
Yeah, he's been great.
But I was talking to Brian in the break, and I think I'm going to change my question. Would you think – so we always talk about coaches being fired, and sometimes too soon, sometimes not at all. Do you think Brandon Staley should be fired right now? And I want Brian to answer at some point.
Well, Brian, I'll let you go first. Where are you at with Brandon Staley?
I'm over it. It's too much for me. It's another one possession, one loss. Like it's crazy. Herbert now has the most losses of his career. Like when Herbert's come in, I think they're like 29 losses now since Herbert started. It's the most out of any team.
Mama, where you at on Brandon Staley?
So he wants him fired right now.
So who would step in for him? Because I think he's getting fired at the end of the year.
That's the question.
Kellen Moore. Like let's give him a shot. That was the whole thing of them
I don't
bringing him
hate that.
over.
But your problems aren't offensive.
No, they're not.
No, but it's a
he's
change of
calling
pace.
defense, yeah.
Look, you're talking to two Raider fans who just watched what happened when you fire the coach in the middle of the year.
Yeah, Antonio Pierce changed his whole team. We're going to end the season at 12-5.
But Brandon
don't know about
Staley isn't Josh McDaniels. The team doesn't hate him because he goes for it all the time, and he's a player's coach.
He goes for it in his own 20.
I would give him the rest of the season. I unless you know that you have a better alternative, and I'm not sure, Brian, that Kellen Moore is a better alternative because your problems, again, are defensive. And Kellen Moore's an offensive coordinator. I don't see what the point of firing Brandon Staley in the middle of the season. Now, Greg, I would fire Chip Kelly because
right now before the USC game?
I'd fire him 10 minutes ago.
Fine. I'm totally fine with that.
Because let's get the word out that we're looking.
Yes.
But because this season we're not going anywhere. The Chargers, I think, give Staley a chance to save it. They may make the playoffs this
What
year.
if UCLA fires Chip Kelly and the
Dan
Chargers
Tomlin.
fire Staley?
Right.
And Staley gets the UCLA
Trade him.
job.
Swap him out.
Swap him out.
I don't want Brandon Staley.
Okay, Greg,
I mean, it's
if you
not
had
a
to
bad
make
call.
choice-
Chip Kelly was all right in the NFL.
Hey, no, don't duck this. If you had
Okay.
to make a choice, Brandon Staley or Chip Kelly, who'd you want?
Brandon Staley in the college game.
Yeah.
I think
Me
I
too.
think that's easy.
Me
But
too.
look, when UCLA plays USC on Saturday and can't do anything against that god-awful defense,
right?
That's going to be a nail in the coffin for Chip Kelly because they're not going to be able to score against that
wait a
defense.
minute. Look behind you. The nail in the coffin was Saturday.
Oh, that was
I mean,
it
that was the
so
worst game in Chip
pathetic.
Kelly's tenure.
That was the worst. That was the worst offensive performance I've ever seen from a UCLA team, and that's including the Darrell years.
Yeah, that was
awful.
That was as bad.
It was bad.
He just brought Carl Durrell is just minding his own business and just caught us.
He was not a good head coach.
Yeah.
He was not a good head coach.
He just took one right there.
Right.
out of left field there.
So I'm
Poor
the
Carl
only one
Durrell.
here who would not fire Brandon Staley. Greg, you would fire him too?
No, I probably wouldn't fire him now because I like to see them lose.
You don't fire them.
Oh, come on.
You don't fire them when they're losing by 3 points. You
I mean,
fire
the Chargers-
coaches when they lose by 20.
The Chargers fired
I agree with Ramona.
Marty Schottenheimer at 14-2 going through the playoffs.
Well, because
it's never been the same.
Yeah, because the Spanoses are the Artie Moreno of NFL owners. They can't get out of their own way. But it is to me, I don't think Brandon Staley has done anything to be deserved firing mid-season. That was a close game.
Yeah.
Could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So
And yet they
I
always
wouldn't
lose
fire him.
those.
Always losing.
That's true.
It's always a one-score game.
Yeah. All right, so I actually did have something on C.J. Stroud, too, so I'll use this one. The last rookie to win the MVP was Jim Brown in 1957. Now, after this last weekend, CJ is getting a lot of MVP consideration. He currently, I looked at the standings, currently has the Texans second place in the AFC South. They're in the last spot of the playoffs currently. He is second in passing yards, and he's tied for fifth with 15 TDs and has the lowest interceptions among QBs who have started all their games. Is there real consideration as Stroud is an MVP
let's think
as
of
a
the
rookie?
other
Wait, hold on.
candidates.
By the way,
Lamar Jackson's gotta be a candidate.
Momo, this was going to be my question.
Okay.
So thank you,
so
Brian.
Brian did it so much better.
He does. That's why he usually runs these.
All right. So normally MVP, you can exchange those letters for face of the NFL in that year.
Yeah.
He's close, but I wouldn't give it to him.
No.
I think that unless he leads the Texans into the postseason. Like, if he wins that division, I think you got to give him serious consideration. But I don't think he's going to win the division, and I think he's a year or two away from winning an MVP. What do you think?
So who are the other candidates? Like, what's the Vegas odds?
Tua. Mahomes.
They haven't had good years.
I'm sure Burrow is
Burrow was up
Burrow.
there, yeah.
Mahomes had a bad year statistically.
Dak is playing really well.
Yeah, but they lost the
Jalen
Eagles.
Hurts is playing really well.
Jalen Hurts could go back.
Tyreek is getting some consideration. Hill.
Right. I think Christian McCaffrey's got to get a look.
Yeah,
the way
I mean,
they've
in
been
some ways,
playing.
the San Francisco defense, like maybe Bosa or something, it could be a year like that.
Right.
Yeah, when I looked, I think Stroud was around 6. His odds went from 250 to 1 to 30 to 1 over this last weekend.
Yeah,
because there's no clear-cut winner. Like last year, I thought Jalen Hurts, he had an incredible year. Eagles were a big story. I don't know.
CJ Stroud is playing some of the best football of any quarterback in the league right now.
Right.
And both Shannon Sharp and Dan Orlovsky think that he is the favorite to win the MVP now.
Wow.
He has been fantastic. He has the
I don't think
second
it's
most
the worst idea in the world.
passing yards.
There's no other person that you're like. I mean, for Mahomes, this is a very down year. I know because I have him on my fantasy team, and he's just completely throttled my season.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So there isn't that big guy's like, oh, that's the favorite. So
Yeah.
CJ
Right,
Stroud, he goes out
I'm
and
going to
wins.
throw out a name, and you guys tell me if you would laugh this out of the building or if you think, well, put him on the list. Can't believe I'm going to suggest this.
Jared Goff, you're going to
Jared
say
Goff.
I think I would take Stroud
Does he get
over
credit
Goff.
for it, though? I mean, they
I
win
would
because
too.
of their offense, but it's
They
not
won
him.
1 game or 2 games last year.
Right. But not this year. They're good this year.
No, they're going to make the playoffs and they're going to make a run.
Well, who gets Coach of the Year? The Texans coach, D'Amico
Ryans?
Ryans, or the Dan Campbell?
Either one
One
would
of
be
those
good.
is going to. But
Kevin
Campbell is
O'Connell
right there.
maybe too, depending on how they finish.
Yeah, that Josh Dobbs is a great story.
You
He's
know,
not
he's
an
been
MVP, but he's a
everywhere.
great
He's
story.
Bounced around like crazy, and now all of a sudden he
was an astronaut at some point.
What?
Yeah. You know that? He
No.
interned at NASA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up, fool?
I got another story here about a rookie QB. I don't know if you guys saw this. The Giants rookie Tommy DeVito was quoted saying something on Friday that picked up a lot on social media. He said, "I don't have to worry about laundry, what I'm eating. All that is waiting for me when I get there. My mom still makes my bed. Everything is handled for me."
I love it.
He lives at home. See, I don't know. I don't, I do what you want to do, but the thing that got me is my mom still makes my bed. You're a grown man in the NFL. You
Yeah,
can't
your
make
mom
your
should
own
never.
bed?
You should make your own bed.
I
don't make my kids' bed.
I think this comes off as a little weird in terms of normally an NFL quarterback is going to have no problem meeting girls. I can't imagine this helps. Romo, you're the only woman here. If you find out that a guy lives at home with his mom and she still makes his bed, are you out?
Yeah, I'm out.
I think so.
I mean, listen, when Nevin and I first started dating, we were 21 or 22-ish, and he was living in an apartment with his mom.
How did you guys meet?
Daily News.
Okay.
He was on the local desk, and I was an intern.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And anyway, he still lived at home with his mom for a couple of years when we were, but we were like 21, and he wasn't making millions of dollars and all that. Now, here's the one from the NBA. Jason Tatum is very close with his mom, Brandy. They have houses right next to each other, but they have a separation of houses. And like every time when he comes home from the road, she still makes tacos for him. That's like his favorite meal, and she makes the tacos. And so they're really close, but they have separate houses. Like he has his own space, she has her own space.
I have less of an issue with that.
Yeah.
Do you think Tommy DeVito's pickup line is, "Hey, baby, want to go see my race car bed"?
Should be.
Do you think he has New York Giants sheets?
Right. There's like helmets everywhere
it's one
around
thing to
his
say
room.
like my laundry's done, or my mom makes her favorite,
I just
tacos,
keep
but-
picturing Will Ferrell yelling, "Ma, the meatloaf!"
Meatloaf.
It just
Yeah.
Is it a stretch? Is it a stretch to say it's a little losery?
So I lived
Little
at
bit.
home. I had to live at home when I
Yeah.
was just getting married. Like we lost our house as a whole thing, and I had to live with my mom.
Oh.
She wanted to do all of my laundry and stuff. I'm like, no, it's my laundry. I'm a grown
Yeah.
man. I'm married. Let me just do this until I move out. You can't allow your mom to do those things for you. You are a grown
But he's
man.
how old is he?
He's in 20s.
He's like mid-20s, I think.
Mid-20s?
Like 24, 25, something like that.
25.
Yeah.
I think cooking for him is one thing. I think moms can cook for you till you're 60 years old. Okay, making your bed that's a line. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's not a good look for DeVito. I'll say that.
What's up, Foo?
I got one more for you guys here. So cable TV is offering someone $2,500 to be the chief of cheer watching 25 Christmas movies in 25 days. Is that something
Michael
that you can
Thompson
do? Is that
Wait a
a little
minute.
easy?
I'm
Busy,
doing
but-
that now.
Right.
I watched 3 of them on Hallmark on this last trip.
Oh, it's almost Christmas time. You got to watch Spirited. Finally watch Spirited.
Oh, I can.
Oh, the
yeah.
Will Ferrell
All right.
one,
Yeah. Then
Great.
I can yell "Good afternoon"
Good
like the rest of you
afternoon.
guys. But I don't think that's even an. I could do that in my sleep. I watch enough Hallmark where I think I'm going to watch 25 movies this month. Wait, get me this gig, Brian. They're going to pay me to do
I'll send
this?
you the link. Yeah, they're going to pay somebody.
Yeah, I mean, this is
not
right
that
up my
hard.
alley. I leave Hallmark on all the time. Are you a Hallmarky?
Nope.
You're not.
I'm a Bravo chick.
Me too.
Yeah.
I watch Bravo, Hallmark, and ESPN. Those are the 3
I
things
watch
I bounce around.
Bravo,
And a little
ESPN,
Netflix.
and streaming.
Yeah, and a little Netflix. But that is not
And
an
Spectrum for Laker games.
Yeah. By the way, it's a great time for Hallmark because they get rid of. Normally, they run like a bunch of strip programming overnight. Like they put on like Golden Girls and
Yeah.
Reba and all. For the whole.
Those are good shows. What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, but wait a minute. For all of November and all of December, around the clock Christmas movies all the time.
All right.
So that's all you got to do. Put them on, and you're in the Christmas mood right there. And it's always there's a few staples of the Hallmark Christmas movie. Here are the staples.
Yeah.
All right. Number 1, the best friend of the main female lead
Okay.
can never, under any condition, be better looking than the female lead. It's often somebody that's, or like their sister. Or,
Yeah.
There has to be a distinction between the
Between the lead,
attractiveness of the lead and the second lead.
Okay.
All people of authority in Hallmark movies have to be minorities, have to be black, Hispanic, female. It can't just be like a normal. They've gotten rid of like the
Okay.
straight white guy boss. And most of all in all Hallmark movies, no going past first base under any condition.
Oh, first base is it.
That's it. You can never be seen even sleeping
And first
over.
base is like a peck.
They can make out.
Okay.
But that's it. You can't go past first base in a Hallmark movie under any condition. If you can live with those bylaws, you too can be in a Hallmark movie. Speaking of which, are you done?
Yep.
Is it true that you're in the Candace Parker documentary?
I am.
In what capacity?
As a commentator. It's like there's
They,
3
like, interview
journalists.
you?
Me, Jamel Hill, and Holly Rowe. We're like the voices on it.
Where can I watch this?
It came out yesterday on ESPN. It's really good.
It's on. Can I watch it on ESPN.com?
Yeah, on ESPN or
like,
Plus or something like
Okay.
that now. It's really good.
Are you happy with it? Are you happy?
I'm happy. Also, you know, it was really sad. I must have taped it right after I had the baby, and I think I was at like my peak postpartum. Like you drop a bunch of weight. No, you drop a bunch of weight afterwards because you're nursing.
Right.
And I was like so skinny and cute, and I'm like, oh man. I was like good when I taped that.
All right,
That
I'm
was-
going to watch it specifically to check you out.
Yeah, it was good.
All right. Coming up
I know you mean that in the best possible way.
I do. You know, I'm a big Momo fan. Coming up next, there is a fascinating story developing in college football in which Lane Kiffin is being sued by one of his players because he feels like he took advantage of a mental health situation. And I'm not sure Lane did, but we're going to lay it out for you coming up next. Momo and Mace, I'm John Ireland, ESPN LA.
Auto and Cap. Mason and Ireland continues now.
Today it's Momo in Ireland, although Mason did call in earlier. Here's what it sounded like. Here is Sophie in Venice. Hey, Sophie, you're on ESPN LA. Hi. And then he hung up. That was his contribution to the show today.
So good.
And I'm actually, Mace says he'll be back tomorrow. We'll see. If he is, I will bring this up again tomorrow with him. But, Greg, I'm particularly interested, now that you're in management, to get your thoughts on this story.
I've been in management for a while.
Which I find, yeah, but nobody took you seriously.
Only you. Everyone else did.
All right, so Lane Kiffin, the former USC coach, is now the coach at Ole Miss. And over the past, 4 or 5 years, mental health has become a really big story in sports. A lot of guys have been applauded for coming out. Kevin Love came out and said, I've got mental health issues. I suffer from depression. Yeah. A lot of other people have. And I think in most workplaces, if you have mental health issues, you're being encouraged to speak up. I think it's much more, Mason talks about this a lot. He's come clean that he's bipolar. He often has to get his meds adjusted, and when he doesn't get them adjusted correctly, he suffers, and he goes into spirals, and then he works out of it. So if you hear a story that involves the phrase mental health, most people take it seriously and are compassionate. So there was a player at Ole Miss. He's still technically on scholarship. His name is DeSanto Rollins. He is suing Lane Kiffin and the school for $40 million. Because according to Rollins, Kiffin ignored indications that Rollins suffered from depression and subjected him to, quote, grossly reckless and indifferent treatment. And one of the things that Rollins did was he legally recorded a meeting with Lane Kiffin. And I'm going to ask all three of you guys at the end of this. We can even take some calls on this if you want to weigh in. 877-710-ESPN, because I think it's a fascinating subject. I'm going to ask you, who comes off worse here? DeSanto Rollins or Lane Kiffin? So apparently what happened was Rollins just stopped coming to practice. He's on scholarship. He just stopped coming to practice. And Kiffin sent word through the assistant coaches, hey, I need to talk to him. I want to make sure he's okay. And nothing. Rollins wouldn't return calls, wouldn't come to practice. The only feedback Kiffin was getting was, Rollins says he has a mental health issue and he's not ready to talk to you.
Or did he even say he had a mental health issue?
He did.
Okay.
You'll hear that play out here. Now, this is the conversation that was legally recorded by DeSanto Rollins with Lane Kiffin. There's a lot of swearing in it that we have beeped out. The whole conversation runs 3-4 minutes. We've cut it down to just under 2 minutes. And again, at the end of this, I'm going to ask all three of you guys, and anybody who wants to participate, who comes off worse here, Lane Kiffin or DeSanto Rollins? Here's the conversation.
This is a job. Guess what? If I have mental issues, and I'm not diminishing them, I can't not boss when you were told again and again the head coach needs to see you. Wasn't to make you practice, wasn't to make you play a position you don't want to, okay? It was to talk to you and explain to you in the real world, okay? So I don't give a what your mom says, okay? Or what you think. In the real world, you show up to work. And then you say, hey, I have mental issues, okay? I can't do anything for 2 weeks. But if you change my position, I won't have mental issues. I guarantee you if I called you in and said you're playing defense, would you have mental issues?
Definitely.
No. Would you have been at practice? Would you have skipped 2 weeks of workouts?
Why are you calling it skipping?
Well, what is it?
I took a mental break.
Okay. Hey, Keith Carter, I'm not going to show up to work the next 2 weeks. Oh, you want to meet with me? No, I'm not going to meet with you. Fired.
Well, why are you
real world.
I mean, you're acting like my issues aren't real.
I didn't say they're not real. You show up when your boss wants to meet with you, and wouldn't have been like this. It would have been like, okay, if you would have come here when you kept getting messages, the head coach wants to talk to you, and you saying, I'm not ready to talk to him.
I wasn't.
Well, what f***ing world do you live in?
I don't see why you gotta be disrespectful, honestly.
Get out of here. Go, you're off the team. You're done. See ya.
Because
See ya. Go. And guess what? We can kick you off the team. So go read your rights about mental health. We can kick you off the team for not showing up.
All right, so that's the heart of the conversation between those two guys. Greg, you are the manager of audio operations around here.
The MAU.
If I'll use myself as an example.
Sure.
Said, I'm having a mental health issue. I'm not coming in. And you said to me.
If you said it, we would take you pretty seriously.
But, hold on. Because, Greg, if I said to you, but then you said, okay, I need to talk to you about this.
But it didn't sound like he said to him, I have a mental issue, I'm not coming in.
What did it sound like to you?
It sounded like he just wasn't coming in, and he was getting messages that were saying, hey, the coach wants to talk to you, and that he didn't said, I was having mental problems, I needed a break.
Right.
But it doesn't sound like he ever told Kiffin that that was what the issue was. It might have gotten around to it that it would be like if you told Mason that you were having mental health issues and Mason told me.
I think that makes Rollins' case worse. But
it does.
But who comes off worse there, Kiffin or Rollins?
I think, Kiffin did a couple things wrong that were in there.
He certainly could have been nicer.
He could have been nicer.
Yeah.
He could have done. There was a couple things that he did wrong where he started to say that it was because if I put you on the defense, you would have then started playing. But that was a problem. But the earlier part was not. I think Rollins needed to come in and talk to him, or at least call him on the phone, or send him a text, or do something. You have to talk to your boss when you're having a mental health issue, just to let you,
Even
John.
If you can't talk, you can send a text.
Yes, you, John, should have told me that you were not going to come in and you needed some time away. That changes everything. It doesn't sound like he did.
In my scenario, you are my direct supervisor.
Correct.
So I don't think I can accuse you, as Rollins did in that thing, of not taking me seriously, not disrespectful, when I don't even take the time to talk to you.
No.
Momo, what did you think? Who comes off worse?
I thought Lane made some very good points. It's just the way that he delivers it is kind of, it comes across as insensitive. You know, he's right. Like, you have a job, and no matter what is happening, like, even if it's the worst things in the world, like the worst possible things, all you have to do is send a text. Like, you just send it. If you can't talk to them, if you don't feel up to that, you just say, I'm not up to coming in. I'm mentally, I'm not in a good place. I'll get in touch with you when I can. Like, you have to be able to send that note. You can't just not show up. I don't know. It's just the way that the way he delivers the message of, like, you have a job and da-da-da-da. Like, the guy is telling him right there in the room, I have a mental health. Like, it sounds like there's a lot more pretext to this when I heard it. I felt like even his statement of, we switched your position and that's what you're mad about, basically. He's calling BS on it. He's saying, I don't really believe this is mental health.
But he says twice in there, I'm not saying your issues aren't real.
Yeah.
I'm saying that you've mishandled this.
Yeah.
And I absolutely see that Lane could have been nicer. He didn't have to F-bomb the guy to death and then kick him off. By the way, he's still on the team. He's not practicing with the team, obviously, but he's still on scholarship at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Let's open the phones and see if everybody agrees. 877-710-ESPN. 877-710-3776. I'm very curious. I'll just say this. If this thing went to trial and I was on the jury, based on what I know now, I'm siding with Lane. I know he wasn't very nice about it, but I'm not going to reward a guy money who refused to even meet with his direct supervisor.
You didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. That's a problem.
Right, and if you fired me after that, or if you
I
reacted...
have every right.
If you reacted like Lane did, like if I came into your office after that 2 weeks and that phone call that I played carried out with you, and I said, I don't understand why you're disrespecting me.
Yeah.
I disrespected you.
You didn't talk to me for 2 weeks.
Right.
You didn't send me a text. You didn't.
And you're
call,
responsible
call, you
for filling these shifts and making sure that the trains run on time.
I had no idea
I
what was going on
screwed
with
you.
Yes.
It's
you
not
did.
the other way around.
Nope.
And even though Kiffin, like you say, Momo, could have handled it way better, I don't think this kid's going to win this lawsuit. But we'll take a few of your calls coming up next. 877-710 ESPN. Mason in Ireland, Momo in for Mace, ESPN LA.
The most followed.
All right, Mason and Ireland, Momo's in for Mace today. We just played a pretty explosive clip with Lane Kiffin and one of his players who is suing Kiffin for $40 million. The player, DeSanto Rollins, says that Kiffin treated him in a grossly reckless and indifferent way. He says he suffers from depression. He wanted to take a mental health break. Lane tried to talk to him. The guy wouldn't come in. He said he was mentally messed up. All of us, Greg, Brian, did we ask you, what did you think of this? Would you side with Lane on this, or would you side with the kid?
I think a little bit with Lane. I think he handled it a little poorly. Like, you should have let him know. But there could be a lot more to the story that we also don't know. We don't know what his issues are.
What I don't know, and we're going to open the phones here, I don't know if I'm being insensitive to the kid who has mental issues, but I just don't think he handled it very well. Here's Johnny in San Dimas. Hey, Johnny, you're on ESPN LA. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think you got to look at Lane Kiffin's side. He is actually a lawyer. He has a lot of knowledge about how to handle it, but he's kind of a little crude in his voice and stuff. But, he can get a defense and say, well, mental illness, I was fired on a tarmac, and that's really a hard mental illness to deal with. So I hope Mace called in and didn't give that excuse today, too.
Oh, no. He worked 58 shows in a row. He deserved a day off. Here's Marvin in Monterey Park. Hey, Marvin, what do you think of this story?
I think it's unfortunate. I think it's an indictment on Lane Kiffin, and for Greg to compare you two, right, to compare the situation to you as a grown adult. Like I said, these are student athletes, right? These are young men, right, trying to figure it out. It's an indictment on Kiffin, the fact that he doesn't have any relationships with the parent. If someone is suffering from mental health, then as a caretaker, as a coach, as an educator, I need to be proactive. I need to take initiative and reach out to friends and family and see what's going on.
This is actually, Marvin, this is actually a really good point that I didn't think of until now. Momo, they're not fully formed adults yet. They're
that's a good point.
18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. And Marvin, that's a side of this that I didn't give a lot of credence to. But having said that, Marvin, isn't college to prepare you for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
And if Marvin, if you're my coach and I have a mental health issue and I just stop coming to practice and I stop coming to workouts and I get told that you want to meet with me so you can figure out what's going on and I just blow you off for 2 weeks, isn't that on me and not you?
How did that player get to Mississippi? How did that player get there? Who recruited him? Where did that coach go to recruit that player?
So you're saying that he should have involved the people that he knew when he was recruiting him. Yeah,
if he really cares about human, right? If he really cares about the student, all right, then he's going to do everything in his power, right, to reach out.
Well, this is the part where I think there could
be
more that we don't
Marvin,
know.
that's a really good call. Thank you for calling in. That's an excellent point.
So what we don't know, because all we've heard is audio, right?
Right.
We don't know what other things they did to get a hold of this kid. Like if you didn't, I would expect. I won't say I'm sure, but I would expect they would have called the parents.
Yeah.
At some point, if you haven't,
although he makes reference to, he goes, I don't care what your effing mom says,
but it sounds like maybe the mom was firing back. Here's the way I'm hearing what happened here without knowing all the context. I think Kiffin called him in, and had the kid been apologetic or taken some ownership of the way he handled it, I think Kiffin would have been fine. Like, I don't think he intended to kick him off the team. I think he wanted to hear his defense. Like, John, if you don't show up for work for 2 weeks and then you come in and you just say, listen, it's been a really hard time emotionally and mentally. I have depression and I didn't know how to talk to you, and I'm sorry. I should have told you what was going on. I should have handled that.
Then it would have gone
way differently. He wanted an acknowledgement that, like, ghosting somebody for 2 weeks is not cool.
But I guess it's in my work ethic, but I don't mean to make light of anybody else having mental issues, because I think sometimes people don't respect that, and mental issues are real, and depression is real.
Especially amongst the younger generation.
Right. Now. But if I, just thinking about what I do, or even when I was in college, when I was like running the campus sports radio station, if I didn't show up for games for 2 weeks, or if I didn't show up to work for 2 weeks, I just know how that's going to end. It just seemed very odd there. Here's Susan in Manhattan Beach. Hey, Susan, you're on ESPN LA. Hi.
Hey, so I totally agree with the last caller that the kid was not, it was a teaching moment. If it was John Wooden, if you've got a great coach, you're going to work with the kid and find out, okay, what is the real issue at hand? And they didn't really find out, is it that we moved your position? Is it that was that what the mental problems were? I mean, there was nothing really trying to get down to whether this kid mentally was okay or not.
Yeah, he just kind of dressed him down. That's true.
So what what I'm saying is that I don't see this as there were any teaching moments. I don't see that he tried to work with this kid and try to get him to the point where he could be functional on the team. And, that to me is not a good coach.
Okay. Thank you, Susan, for the call. Here is Blake in Thousand Oaks. Hey, Blake, what do you think?
Hey, I reference more what Ramona said. Is I was more taken to what the kid didn't say, because he had every opportunity when Lane was talking to him to express what was going on. And when he just responds with, I was taking a mental break. I've worked with coworkers like, hey, I'm going to take a mental break. That doesn't sound like I'm having challenges with depression or things like that. We don't know what was said ahead of time. But to respond with, you're not playing defense, so you're not going to do this, and your response isn't to defend yourself. It's to say, I was taking a mental break. Don't equate Lane Kiffin to Wooden. You don't know how Wooden was going to respond. Wooden would have said, you do it my way or you're off the team too. So that's baloney.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the phone call.
This is a hard part for me because I feel like we don't know the full context of it, right?
Right.
I know how I've seen other people who go through these type of situations. Like we had a girl on my team when I was playing, and she had an eating disorder, and she kind of, and then there was another one who she had definitely some kind of mental health actual break. Like I don't know what the actual issue was, but I think we kept them on scholarship for a while. Like I don't think they all got kicked off the team, and they were there. But it was handled in a way that like what I'm not sure people realize is how it feels to be yelled at by a grown up. Right? Like I know what I've been like when I've been yelled at. I've been yelled at by bosses. I've been yelled at by grown-ups. And I'm sort of resilient. I tend to be somebody who can take it, which is why I think I get yelled at. Right? But
yeah, right.
Right? They find the person who can take it. But it didn't feel good. And I'll tell you, like, when you're a kid that age and you get yelled at by your head coach, whether or not the kid handled it correctly or not, like, you're going to kind of go inward. You're going to go and shrivel up there in that moment.
Here's Don in Riverside. Hey, Don, you're on ESPN LA. What'd you think?
I side with Lane because I think that's what's wrong with kids these days. It just sounded disrespectful, like he didn't even care what Lane was telling him. It was just like whatever. And, just to say you got mental issues, okay, you got mental issues. You still got to go talk to your coach. You got to talk to your boss, right? When somebody's sick or something, you still got to communicate. Plus, he's letting his team down, right? Because he's not showing up. He's not saying nothing. So what does that mean? He doesn't care about his teammates. Supposed to be his boys.
Yeah, so, you know what? This reminds me of the Ben Simmons situation.
Thank you, Don, for the phone call.
Yeah, thanks for the call. This reminds me of the Ben Simmons, like, in Philly, he said, I'm not showing up because I have mental health issues. But he was also having a reaction against some of the stuff Doc Rivers did and whatever Joel Embiid did and his situation there and, all this other stuff. And the Sixers fined him. You remember that when he didn't show up? And their contention was, it's okay. You can say I have mental health issues, but you still need to go to a therapist. We treat a mental health issue like any other injury. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you sprained your ankle and didn't show up at your doctor's appointment, we'd say you're not doing what you need to do.
Yeah. I don't mean to be insensitive, but I think if this goes to trial and they play that tape, I'm not sure that the player is going to get much support from the jury. But I don't know. I mean, you saw we took a sample of calls there, and a couple of people thought Lane was at fault. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. All right, coming up next, there is something happening tomorrow night at Crypto.com Arena that has never, ever happened before.
What?
I'll tell you what it is coming up. By the way, Game of Games today. It's my game.
Oh, gosh. He's had all weekend to work on it.
Yes.
It's one of those road games.
It is difficult, but not impossible. And we will play that coming up at 3:45. But coming up next, I'll tell you what's happening at Crypto tomorrow night. And it's Lakers related. Back with more after this, ESPN LA.
All right, guys, it's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, Give me Laker tickets.
Yes.
We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the 5th row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
The return of Million Dollar Mondays.
$1 Million Mondays.
Your chance to win $1 million from 710 ESPN.
Listen every Monday this football season for your chance at $1 million. $1 Million Mondays.
Presented by Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
Listen every Monday to 710 ESPN. When you hear the cue to call, be caller number 7. Give us your Super Bowl prediction. Both teams and the final score, and you could be winning $1 million this football season on LA's $1 Million Mega Sports Station. 710 ESPN. In Los Angeles, the podcast that is.
Mason and Ireland, the #1 most downloaded sports podcast in Los Angeles. The #1 most downloaded sports podcast in Los Angeles, and we thank all of our podcast listeners for that.
If you ever miss a moment, get your fill anytime. Just search Mason and Ireland wherever you get your podcast.
Oh, go!
I've been listening to a lot of Aretha lately.
Love Aretha. Going riding on the freeway.
Okay, Ramona, tomorrow night.
10 freeway.
Bergman, are you aware of this?
You cannot dance to this.
Are you planning to go to the Laker game tomorrow night?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Tomorrow night?
When you walk in, Greg, are you going, Momo?
When they play the Grizzlies? No, I might go to
Okay.
the Kings game.
Greg, when you walk in,
It's going to be beautiful.
you might
Not
want to
really.
bring a pair of sunglasses.
Okay.
Because the entire floor will be bright gold. Because
Oh,
it is,
gosh.
Ramona, the first ever home midseason tournament game for the Lakers.
Nope, didn't do it. Try it again. Say it again and get me hyped.
The first ever
Okay.
home midseason tournament game for the Lakers. And
that is a mouthful.
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll say it many times tomorrow.
Are you going to say it as excitedly as company man LeBron James did the other day?
Of course I am.
Company man LeBron James
we are under
said,
a strict edict to pump up the midseason
oh my
tournament.
God, I have never
Wait till Sedano
do
gets.
Do you have the LeBron with Lisa Salters?
If Sedano comes in, he will tell the same thing. We've gotten many memos and talking tos and. Hey, and by the way, it just came out.
1-0 Lakers, by the way.
Yeah, the 1-0 Lakers in the midseason tournament. It came out today. Viewership up 55% on ESPN for the midseason tournament games. It's working, Momo. Don't shake your head at me. The midseason tournament is on.
Say it again.
It's on.
It's actually not even the midseason tournament. It's the in-season tournament.
No.
I think it's the in-season tournament.
It's in-season.
Well, I've heard mid-season and in-season. Let me look it up. Whatever it is, whatever it is, it's tomorrow.
John, I know how you gave away all those bad phones all those years ago.
Yes.
Listen, LeBron James, I watched that game in Phoenix. It was a great game. The one when the Lakers won, okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Lisa Salters, God bless her, says, LeBron, how does it feel to finally get your first win on the road this year? And LeBron says, oh, it's not because it was the first win on the road. It's because it's the in-season tournament game.
Boy, Bron.
And I was like, oh, my God. Did Adam Silver call him directly before the game and say, make sure you highlight that? Did he call all the stars and say, hey, guys,
He not only called all the stars, he called all the media outlets.
And
But
Joel
can I say
Embiid the
this?
other day, this is the best one. Okay, the company man LeBron is great, but Joel Embiid,
who's just a troll normally.
Yes, took a 3-pointer at the end of a game against the Detroit Pistons that they were winning by like 8 or 9 points or something, did not need to take the 3. And the Pistons were a little bit mad, like, why are you taking the 3-pointer? And Joel says afterwards, because during the in-season tournament, tiebreakers come down to point differential.
It's the right thing to do.
Boy, Embiid.
And I was like, all the stars know.
DeMontis
this
Sabonis.
So let me
is
tell you guys.
how the NBA is going to get them their max contracts.
Well, DeMontis Sabonis got mad at Kevin Huerter for not taking a 3 at the end of the game.
That's right, DeMontis Sabonis, because it's life and death when it comes to the in-season tournament. Now, here's the good news if you're a Laker fan. There's a very good chance the Lakers are going to come out of this pod. They've already played. Here's how it works. There are 6 5-team pods.
Yeah.
Okay, there are 30 teams in the NBA, so everyone's eligible except Memphis, who's already lost 2 games. But the Lakers are 1-0.
Yeah.
If they win tomorrow night, they'll be 2-0, and Memphis will be 0-3, and they'll be pretty much knocked out. If you win your group, you're on to the elimination round.
Okay.
The 6 winners of the groups, and then there's 1 wild card from the West and 1 wild card from the East, and the Lakers have already won the most difficult in-season tournament game they have, which was at Phoenix on Friday. So tomorrow night, Lakers play Memphis. I think they're going to go to 2-0. Then Friday night, we play in Portland. I think we're going to go to 3-0. And then all we got to do after that is deal with Utah, and we can move on to the next round. And so those 4 games are the ones that move you out of the group stage into single elimination.
Can Phoenix still make it? Like if Phoenix wins all theirs?
Yeah, you can't lose twice. If you lose twice in the group stage, you're in big trouble. Ooh. But if you only lose once, or if you run the table, there's a good chance you're moving on.
Okay.
So the Lakers have a really good chance to be moving on in the next season. Now, what's weird is, and Greg, I know you probably have looked ahead to this, is all of us that work in the NBA, we don't know where we're going to be the first week in December.
Oh, I know, it's so frustrating.
So we can't plan anything. We might be playing on Monday or Wednesday. We might be playing on Wednesday or Friday. There's a chance we can play in the championship game, which is in Vegas on a Saturday night on ESPN, and we don't know yet. Like, I can't make any plans for that week because Vegas, baby. I'm going to Vegas. So the in-season tournament tomorrow night. Now, and when I said, Greg, that the court is gold, if you've noticed.
With a purple stripe in the middle.
Yeah, if you've noticed.
These courts are
really
really rough.
Are insane.
They're
we
just,
played
it's
on
too much.
Friday night. We played on an all-purple court.
Oh, my gosh.
And
I saw that. I didn't hate that one, but it's awkward.
Did you hear what happened in Dallas?
No.
Okay, so they put the goofy court down.
Yeah.
And somebody comes out to start shooting. I think it was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander,
Yeah.
but it might have been somebody else. Comes out to shoot threes, and he's like short on
Yeah.
every 3.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, this is weird. like, I'm a really good shooter. I'm short. So that he goes, hey, measure this line. And somebody who built the court, the fancy in-season tournament court, screwed it up and made the line too far.
Oh, my God.
So they had to really quickly rip the court out and put the regular court back in so they could play the game.
Oh, my God.
But so tomorrow night, I've been told the gold court has been measured, approved, and you will be in a sea of gold. It'll look like a giant hotel full of gold fixtures. And tomorrow,
anything's better than the gray courts. The gray courts are hard. In Brooklyn and
well, Brooklyn's court is always gray. Though.
I know, but I hate it. It's like I watch the game and I'm like, ugh.
I have to admit though, what have you thought so far of the in-season tournament? I like it. I'm not BSing. I like it. Do you like it, or you think it's over the top?
I mean, I'm laughing at all the company men.
Yes,
okay.
like me.
You are such a company man.
In-season tournament, let's go.
The best part was that you were calling
Billy
it
Mack, tournament time.
I mean, are you going to do like a pool or something? Or
that's a good idea. Bergman, let's get a pool going.
I'm
not allowed to bet on the NBA.
Definitely not.
Well, you can.
Yeah, I'll get a pool
I don't think
together.
I can bet on any. I don't even know if I can do fantasy anymore after the new ESPN rules.
Does it feel like anything other than a regular game?
Yeah, it does. It actually does. Because
I haven't been to one of these exciting games yet. I've watched them all on TV.
You haven't even been to one. But the thing, Greg, the reason they care, I asked AD about this.
$500,000?
Yeah. He goes, look, I don't understand all the rules. Here's what I understand. We win it. We each get $500,000.
Yeah.
That gets your attention. So if you think about it, if they said every player on the winning team gets $10,000,
yeah, the people
that probably gets your attention. But you think, so what if I don't get it? $500,000. I think they care. Do you?
Yeah, but after taxes and you pay your agent and
please.
stuff, like I don't know. AD makes like $40 million a year. I don't know. That's like I think he'll just notice that it's like a holiday bonus.
Well, I'm telling you, people, it's tournament time, and it's time to get ready. Put your gold on and get your butt to crypto.com.
Do we have theme music
arena.
for it? Is there like an in-season tournament theme song? Do we have the ball is tipped?
No, I would hope so. Hey, Bergman, read something over there for me, will you?
All right, sure. So today is $1 Million Mondays. It's back on 710. Thanks to Hollywood Park Casino. Listen all day, every Monday for your chance to win. All you have to do is give your Super Bowl prediction, both teams and the final score, and you could be winning $1 million. And just for playing, you'll get 2 tickets to a game at SoFi on December 3rd. $1 Million Mondays on 710 ESPN, presented by Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play.
And we already gave ours away today. And Sedano and Cap have one coming up, right, Greg?
That's right. It'll be coming up sometime in the 4 to 7 time slot.
All right, cool. All right, coming up next is Game of Games. Bergman, what are the Game of Games standings? What happened last week when I was out?
I won a bunch over the week.
Uh-oh.
Well, just actually twice. So I'm in the lead. I have 3.
Okay.
And then Ireland won, Andy won, Brian won, Jacob won, Sedano won, Cappy won.
All right, so Bergman is firmly entrenched in the lead, but it's my game today.
All I know is that I haven't won anything.
You might do well in this game.
Okay.
But anybody could definitely win it. And so that's coming up next. But first, let me tell you about iSpot Active. Momo, you would like iSpot Active. Okay, so here's how it works.
Okay.
I'm a big cryotherapy guy.
Me too.
All right. So these guys at iSpot Active, and you need to go to the website because it explains everything you need to know. ICEBOD Active.
Okay.
iSpot Active. You'll see a doctor on there with testimonials. You'll see James Worthy.
Yeah.
James Worthy swears by this stuff. Here's what it is. iSpot Active has created wearable cryotherapy. So you purchase an iSpot device for whatever areas you want to treat. Like I've got the long sleeve shirt and they put these these cold packs, these flexible gel packs that are ice cold that can treat your shoulders, your elbows, upper and lower back. They have pants if you want to treat your lower body. You wear this stuff for 20 minutes, and at least in my case, my soreness was gone. One of the reasons this is a good idea is it saves you a lot of time and money. Instead of dropping $200 a week on multiple cryo sessions, I bought this shirt, one-time fee of $150. I don't go to cryo anymore. I just ice at home whenever it's convenient for me. I put on this shirt. I feel better. Then I throw it in the freezer, and I'm all set for the next time. So the other reason why I like wearable cryotherapy is you don't have to stop what you're doing. You just kind of feel like you have football pads on, and you go about your day. This product is perfect if you're someone who suffers from soreness. Anybody who has bad knees will tell you they have to ice right after they play a sport, because if they don't, they'll get stiff pretty fast. With iSpod, you just put on that knee brace after you work out or play sports, and you feel right away. Before I saw this, the only way to tackle this was to put 2 big ice packs on your knees and, hope for the best. But iSpot Active has taken it to the next level. Check it out today at that website, icebodactive.com, ICEBOD active.com. iSpot Active.
All right, guys, it's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, give me Laker tickets?
Yes.
We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the fifth row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
ESPN.
And it is time for Game of Games on the #1 sports radio show in LA, Mason and Ireland. Game of Games. Game of Games presented by CallJacob.com.
Call Jacob.
Everyone loves a fighter, but in this town, winning matters, especially after an accident. So remember, anyone can fight, but CallJacob.com is here for you when you need a big win. After an accident, go to CallJacob.com or call 844-24-JACOB. That's 844-24-JACOB. We got the jingle.
Call Jacob.
Thank you. Game of Games time. Take it away, Mace.
All right, no Mace today. Momo in for Mace, and I have the game for Game of Games, and we have 4 players today. Brian Cohen, Greg Bergman, Ramona Shelburne, and we welcome to the show Scott Kaplan.
Hey.
Hi, Cap.
Lady and gentlemen, how are we today?
Good.
Excellent. Cappy, you may do well in this game. I think this is the type of game that you could excel at.
Okay.
We had a lot of fun last month when Billboard released its list of the top 500 pop songs ever made. So I used that to create another version of the lyrics game. I will read you some lyrics from a song. I'm just going to read them. I'm not going to sing them. Each one of these comes from one of the top 100 songs ranked by Billboard. So these are all songs that I think you've heard before. As soon as you know either the name of the song or the artist,
okay,
I'll accept either one. Your name is your buzzer.
All right.
There are 8 of these in a timer. For example, Momo, if I said, player's going to play.
Yeah.
Shake it off. What's the answer?
Shake it out, Taylor Swift.
There you go.
Okay.
Or you can say shake it off.
Okay,
Either one.
got it.
Okay. So obviously that's not one of the songs.
Okay, got it.
All right, so here we go.
You're going to read it. We're not playing a song.
We're not playing a song.
Got it. Okay.
This is song number
Bad
1.
for the podcast.
All of these are on the top 100 of Billboard's top pop songs ever.
Got it.
Okay, here we go. Number 1. Oh, I won't ask for much this Christmas. I won't even wish for snow. Cap.
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey is correct,
Very
and Scott
good.
Kaplan has the lead. All I Want for Christmas by Mariah.
Yeah,
the
that's
greatest Christmas song, top selling of all time. All right, song. Nice work, Cap. Song number.
I was almost going to get that.
Okay, this one's hard. I'm just letting you know in advance. This one's hard.
All right.
At some point, the name of the song is something I will read.
Okay,
so
got it.
Listen for that. That's your hint.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Jealousy turning saints into the sea, swimming through sick lullabies, checking on your alibi, but it's just the price I pay. Destiny is calling me. Open up my eager eyes, 'cause I'm Mr. Brightside. Greg.
The Killer's Mr. Brightside.
The Killer's Mr. Brightside.
I knew the song. I knew the song.
Correct.
No
Yeah,
idea.
but it's not easy if you don't have the music
Yeah.
or the,
Right.
if
Yeah,
you're
it's
just
hard.
reading
Yeah,
the
this is
lyrics.
hard.
Like
Right.
singing
I was
in
like,
my head.
All right, so Greg provided both the artist and the name of the song. I should give you extra credit, but I
Nice
won't.
job, Bergie.
Okay.
Thanks, Cappy.
Number 3. This hit, that ice cold Michelle Pfeiffer, that white
Greg.
gold
Oh.
Greg.
That's Bruno Mars.
That is Bruno
I had
Mars,
that.
Uptown Funk.
Yeah.
And Greg Bergman has
Mark
The
Ronson.
way you read it is
So difficult. so
it's
difficult.
It's very hard because there's no music to it.
Yeah.
You're just reading lyrics. Okay.
I got to get one.
The score right now after 3 songs. Craig Bergman 2, Scott Kaplan 1. Come on, Momo.
I know. I got to
Come
get
on, Momo.
one.
Get in the
Come on,
game,
Brian.
Momo.
I almost got that Mariah
All
Carey
right, I'm
one.
letting all
Brian
4
Cohen,
of
you
you
in the
know.
house?
This one's
Another
hard.
hint for number 4. This is a very, very popular song.
Okay.
Okay, that's your hint. Some will win, some will lose. Some are born to sing the blues.
Oh, wait.
The
know
movie
this.
never ends. It
Cap.
goes on and on.
Cap. Don Henley.
No.
Keep going. Keep going.
It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard.
Momo. Don't stop believing.
Ernie. Darn it.
Don't stop believing.
Some will
Bergman, I'm
win,
surprised you
some
didn't
will
get
lose,
that.
some will
I
always
was-
sing the blues.
All right.
Okay.
At halftime.
Oh, thank God it's not a
That was
skunk.
so hard.
At
Okay.
halftime of the lyrics game,
Had that.
it is Bergman 2, Ramona 1, Cappy 1. Brian, you alive over
Yeah,
there?
this is tough.
Okay.
This is a tough one.
This is a hard game.
All right.
Song, we go into the second half. Song number 5. I'm heading down the Atlanta highway.
Cap.
Greg.
Cap.
Oh, no.
B-52s.
Boom! Scott Kaplan has tied the game. Do you know the name of the song?
I was
Cap?
going to get that wrong.
Heading down the Atlanta highway.
Looking for the love.
Shack. Love Shack.
Get
away.
Love Shack by
Yeah.
the B-52s.
Yeah.
One of the most underrated songs of all time,
I was
and
gonna-
the game is tied.
I was going to say Tom
Come on,
Petty.
Momo.
That was
Let's
wrong.
go. Let's
Got
go.
it wrong.
All right, good, because I think you and Cap were pretty close when you came in, so I'm glad you were going to miss it.
I was going to get it wrong.
All right, song number 6. There are 3 left. Brian, you're still alive, but just
I gotta
barely.
get one.
You just don't get skunked.
Come on, BC.
All right. Well, you can tell by the way I
Cap.
use my walk, Cap.
The Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees is correct, and Scott Kaplan is
You know,
taking the
you
lead.
sang that a little
You did
more
have
than
you had
the
a little
read.
bit of sing-songy tone in you.
I'm a
That's all I
woman's
actually
man,
knew.
no time to talk. Music loud and women warm. I've been kicked around since I was born.
I'm singing all right. It's
That's okay.
okay. You can look the other way.
That a boy, Cappy.
Yeah.
We can try to understand the New York Times effect on man. Whether you're a brother or whether you're a mother, you're staying alive. All right, Cappy has the lead.
Oh, come on.
Song number 7, Cap. If you get this,
Ooh.
you lock it up. Here we
Ooh,
go.
I need this one.
Song number 7.
Lay back, Cap.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch. It's bringing me out the dark.
Oh.
Finally, I can see you
Momo.
crystal clear, Momo.
There's a fire. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
5 seconds.
It's what's her face?
4.
Adele.
Adele, you got it!
Oh, wow, Momo.
It's what's her face?
What
Adele.
is her
I wasn't
face?
gonna get it.
I didn't know her face.
There's a fire starting in my heart.
Yeah.
There's a fire.
Rolling in the deep
Oh,
by
man.
Adele. All right.
I was gonna say Rich Paul's girlfriend.
Brian, sadly, you have been
Why am I gonna do
eliminated.
that?
Damn. All right.
All right.
So I need to get this one. Both of us
If
have to get
Momo or Greg gets it, it forces the tiebreaker. If Cap gets it, Cap wins.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, come on, let's go.
This is the last song.
No, I'm hitting myself here, like in the face, because I got that
Number
last time.
8.
All right,
Here
let's
we go. You don't have to be beautiful to turn me
Cap.
on, Cap.
Whoa.
Prince.
Prince and Cap wins.
Of course there was going to be a Prince one
That's
in there.
good. That's a good call.
Cappy, you know
joke.
what song?
You don't have to be a star. No, that's not
No, I
it.
know it. It's
You don't have to be a star.
I just need your body, baby, from dusk till dawn. You don't need experience to turn me out. You just
don't
leave it
have
all
to
up to
be
you. Got
ready
it.
to be my girl. Yeah.
Ain't no particular sign I'm
more
more compatible with.
It's
I
Kiss.
just want your
Your
extra
extra
time
time
and
and
your
Kiss.
Yeah.
Scott
Very good,
Kaplan
Scott.
with a rare
Very good.
victory.
No,
Way
no.
to
No,
go,
not
Cap.
rare. He has 2 this month.
Yes.
Oh, Kaplan.
I'm live.
You're knocking
I'm-
on the door.
Johnny I'm live this month.
I love it.
I love that you got that with one line. That was very good.
Okay. Let's do the tiebreaker just for kicks.
Okay.
All right. Drake has more hits on the Billboard Hot 100 charts over the years than anybody else.
Really?
How many total entries has Drake had on the Billboard charts over his career? Closest without going over. Cap, give me a guess. You've already won, so we're just playing for fun.
42.
All right. Momo.
12.
Greg.
47.
Greg would win, but you guys were all way
What about
low.
Brian?
Oh, Brian, go ahead.
He was eliminated.
They're way low, but go ahead. Guess how many.
35.
I said you were way low yet.
Hello, Brian.
Over
Hello, Brian.
47, Brian.
Hello,
All right.
Brian.
The answer is 321.
No way.
He's the only artist.
What?
He's the only artist to chart at least 300 total
Wow.
songs in history. The only 2 acts who have even charted 200 are Taylor Swift with 231
She has 231 songs?
in her career on the Billboard Top 100 charts, and
Wow, that's a lot
the
of
cast of Glee, 207.
They don't have 207 songs either.
Oh, they do. I was a Glee. I was a Gleek.
There wasn't even 207 songs in the whole show.
Oh, bite your tongue! What are you? How dare you disrespect the kids from Glee?
How many songs does Drake have that
Seriously.
300 of them have made it to the top
321
100?
top 100 Billboard charts.
That's
Well, maybe he's
insane.
one of those guys, and I think Taylor's the same way, that as soon as an album comes out, everybody runs and buys it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that could have something
He has
to do with it, too.
144 singles.
He has 321 songs on the Billboard chart, only artist to chart at least 300 total songs in history. Brian, hit the super stager.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM, Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Sedano and Cap to join Mason and Ireland?
Super Crosstalk begins.
Super Crosstalk, presented by Coors Light. Coors Light, made to chill.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
All right, Super Crosstalk has begun. Sedano and Cap both on the show today. Cap down in South LA. And Sedano will be in here shortly. Cappy, how was the weekend? Did you stay in town or were you a traveling man?
So on Friday, we did a broadcast from Black Gold.
Oh, that's right. When I was in Phoenix.
Right.
Yeah.
From 1 p.m. till 5:30 p.m. Then we got off the air and we all hung out at Black Gold with the Circle of Trust. And then Lindsay Baseball scared the ever-living hell out of me and drove me to LAX.
Oh, she's like that as a driver?
She doesn't know.
Pedal to the metal?
She just doesn't have any sense of direction. She lives off the GPS.
Right.
Oh.
You know? So, sometimes we're like in places where I'm like, Lindsay, how did we get here and what are we doing here?
Did she get lost?
A little, but she always worked our way out of it. But she did a good job.
Did
but
you make your flight?
I did because I had a 10:20 red-eye flight out of LAX.
Where were you going?
I was going to Pittsburgh to see my son's final college football game.
Oh, how was it?
It was great. And then I turned around the next morning, 24 hours on the ground, Johnny I. I mean, I know you're a road warrior, but 24 hours on the ground. Landed at 6 a.m. Saturday morning, took off at 7 a.m. Sunday morning.
Glad you went?
Oh, yeah, dude. It was like,
And he's flying Spirit Airlines every time. This isn't
That's correct.
like first class.
That's right.
Yeah, not even the big front seat on
Nope.
Spirit.
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I'm flying Spirit budget.
Dude.
Now, do Spirit seats recline?
I don't know.
You just got in the seat and didn't try and recline it?
I took the exit row, and so I got the. I don't know if those seats recline or not, but I don't recline on a plane.
How full are these flights?
Oh, slammed, I'm sure.
The flight to Pittsburgh, which is a red eye, it's the only direct flight. It is completely packed. On the way back, I had to stop in Vegas, half empty. Yeah.
That sounds like a special kind of hell.
Except it was his son's last college game.
I
I'm
know,
glad
but
you
a
went.
full flight, red eye, Spirit Airlines.
Yeah.
Not
my
fun.
God.
Now, George, have you participated yet in an in-season tournament game?
No, I attended one, though, on Friday. I was in Boston doing Boston College, Virginia Tech, so I went to the Celtics-Nets game.
Did they have a goofy court?
They did, and I was seated in an area where you could tell it was like season ticket holders, and they seemed to be into it.
I worked the game Friday. People were really into it. They just came down. Ratings up 55% on ESPN for the in-season tournament game. And tomorrow, Scott Kaplan.
Well, they were good games.
They are good games, yes.
The Lakers will unveil the Golden Court.
Yeah.
A lot like the Golden Goose. You might have to wear sunglasses.
Or the golden microphone Jim Rome used to have.
There you go.
Phenomenal.
You might have to wear sunglasses to watch the game, but tomorrow it doesn't get any better than when the 2-8 Memphis Grizzlies come in to play the 5-5 LA Lakers in an in-season tournament battle.
Nice.
There you go.
Did I do a good job of selling that?
You sold it to me. That's for sure.
I'll tell you what
I
sold
won't
it for
be
me.
there, but I'll watch it.
I'll tell you what sold it for me. The ability to wear sunglasses inside, like LeBron does.
Yeah.
If the court is that bright and I can wear my sunglasses and legitimize it.
There are only two people that are allowed to wear sunglasses indoors. We've had this conversation, Cap.
I know. Me and LeBron.
And Jack.
Jack Nicholson and Snoop. That's
so
it.
even LeBron's not allowed?
No, not even LeBron should be wearing sunglasses indoors. It announces to the world that I am a douchebag if you're wearing sunglasses indoors for no reason. So, Cap, stay away from that for me.
Oh.
Just
Boy,
I kind of think that's what he's going for.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean,
that's kind of what I was going for.
That's the
LeBron too.
The shoe fits. I mean, it's.
LeBron too, man. I mean, Morales too. When Morales and I wear our sunglasses every Tuesday.
That's true. You guys do look like a couple of Dumb and Dumber comes to mind. All right, so a question for all three of you.
Yes.
Who's the best team in the AFC after yesterday?
I would still say it's Baltimore or Kansas City. Like, I just because, Cleveland's good. They have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the sport. And it's a rivalry game. So they beat Cleveland earlier this year already. So, it is what it is. They split.
Yep.
What do you think, Cap? Best team in the AFC is who?
I would say right now my bias leans towards Cleveland because they've got the best defense, and I think Deshaun Watson is growing. But now he's hurt. And I say growing, I mean he's growing into finally getting back to who he was after that second half yesterday. But now he's hurt. So I'm not sure that's a great answer. Ravens, to George's point, have been probably the best all-around team. Boy, this is long-winded.
Are you conscious of it because someone said it to you, mentioned it in the Circle of Trust today, or no?
No, I didn't see
he's
that.
being not long-winded enough?
Somebody, Coconut Michael, who pretends to be Michael Thompson, he's like his alter ego, made some comment about Ramona surmised something in 12 seconds, and then Cappy, she needs to teach Cappy how to do that.
All right, by the way.
What did I say in 12 seconds?
Something about the Clippers. I don't remember.
Oh, I did do that.
Nice
at
job,
the end of crosstalk on the front end,
right?
We had 12 seconds left, and I had just come in because I did the NBA today.
Yeah.
And they said, give us Travis is like, well, I got 12 seconds. Can you do it fast? And I said, yes, I can.
And you did.
I did.
Nailed it.
I did. You know what I said?
What?
I said, James Harden, too passive. Paul George, too nice. Russell Westbrook, too aggressive. And Kawhi Leonard, too quiet.
That's all very accurate.
Well said.
Did you guys hear Mason's appearance on the show today?
I heard.
No.
Yes.
All right, Cappy, this was Mason. Speaking of 12 seconds, it was much less than 12 seconds. This was Mason, unbeknownst to us earlier today. Here is Sophie in Venice. Hey, Sophie, you're on ESPN LA. Hi. That's it.
Now that sound I can get behind during crosstalk.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and then he just hung up. Now, George, I had something happen to me doing a game in Phoenix the other night that has never happened to me before, and
I'm curious.
I want to lay it out for you and ask you how you would handle it. Okay? Since you often do play-by-play of live sporting events. I get to my seat in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And directly behind me, there is a woman who sounds like a duck, and she is yelling behind me for the entire first half.
Oh, my God.
This is what it sounded like. Kind of ignore me and listen to
listen behind.
the
Yes.
woman behind me.
Go ahead.
We got a couple of clips here. Here's LeBron to Reeves, threw it away. Reeves saves it. Back to Hachimura. Hachimura is fouled. Rebound! All right, that's one of them. Here's the other one later in the quarter. Here's Austin Reeves on the right side. Reeves dribbling, 15-footer, it's long, it's an air ball. Rebound grabbed by Bradley Beal. I have a feeling if Phoenix scores here, Michael Darvin will call timeout. Here is Eric Gordon, throws it away.
That sounds like Chris Russo's like aunt or something.
Right,
Yes.
right. She's 91.
Good for her.
wow.
She was sitting directly behind me, and so then my phone starts to buzz.
Yeah.
It's like, what's with the duck?
Yeah.
You know, what's with the person? And it was funny. It's a 91-year-old woman who is sitting directly behind me. Tim Harris, my boss, texts me. He goes, "What in the world is that noise?"
Yeah.
I go, "Eventually, her voice is going to burn out."
Yeah.
And then my my
You're
engineer
banking on
cap,
the burn out. Okay.
my engineer cap says to me, he goes, "Whatever you do, don't ask her not to do it because then she doubles down."
Right.
And don't turn around and acknowledge her. That just makes it worse.
Did you see her, though? Did you actually turn around at one point?
I turned around and looked at her. George, if you were put in that situation, how would you handle it?
Oh, no, I think you got to listen to the home engineer there because you've got a home engineer from Phoenix working for you. Whatever he says, I roll with it. That's how I
Just
deal
power
with it.
through it.
Yep.
Cap,
Just
would you
keep
have
going.
powered through it, or
Yeah.
would you have tried to talk the woman out of yelling in your ear?
No. I'm with George. I think you got to go with local knowledge. That guy knows who she is.
Yeah.
She's there every night. She probably has that seat for that reason.
And probably for like 30 years.
All right, so here's what actually happened.
Okay.
I was stunned this worked. Michael Thompson, of all people, is hearing, she just yelling. You know how, George, they come and hand you, at every timeout, they hand you a stat sheet?
Yeah.
Michael takes the stat sheet, turns around, introduces himself to her, hands it to her. He goes, "Look at how great your team is playing."
Yeah.
She takes the stat sheet, and she goes, "Thank you." And she starts reading it.
Oh,
and
so she was quiet.
She
Yeah.
stopped yelling. So I went, "Michael, that's genius."
It is genius.
And
Yes.
so I called the Suns PR person over, and I go, "Hey, every quarter, give me stat sheets,
and
whatever you
give
got."
it to her.
And I
Yeah.
turned around for the whole rest of the night. I turned around. The woman's name was Kay. I turned around and I go, "Kay, your team's doing great."
Yeah.
Blah, blah, and nothing the entire second
Wow.
half. So Michael killed her with kindness,
Yeah.
and she stopped.
You guys should have given her a big old kiss. You know, every kiss begins with K.
There you go.
Oh.
Right?
Yep.
In
that
my
one
many, many
sounded
years,
funnier in your head.
Yeah.
In many, many years of
a
doing
dad
live
joke, Ramona.
sporting
I know.
events, I have never had a woman yelling in the back of my ear. And by the way, I was actually concerned for her voice. I thought that, like, listen. LeBron to Reeves, threw it away. Reeves saves it. Back to Hachimura. Hachimura is fouled.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
So anyway, we powered through it and survived.
The good
I
thing
mean,
is,
we've all done live shots where people are going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like where
Yeah.
people are in your shot or even live broadcasts. And a lot of on radio, I'll break the fourth wall and just, bring them into the. We're on the air here, sir. I'll do that.
So-
you can't do that on TV.
I was doing a live shot one year after the Angels.
We're on the air here.
I was doing a live shot on KCAL one year after the Angels won the World Series.
Yeah.
And the crowd was getting really celebratory, and it got really bad. So my photographer, a guy named Dave Turner, great photographer.
Shout out Dave Turner.
Yeah, thank you, Dave, still to this day.
I'm with you, Dave.
Says, "We're going on the roof of the truck." And I went, "Okay." He goes, "They can't get to you if we go on the roof of the truck."
Okay.
So he moves everything up there, the tripod, the camera,
Oh, my
everything.
God.
And
You
we're on
climb up,
we're
right?
on yep, I climb up the ladder. I'm doing
This
it from the
is
roof
Ron
truck.
Burgundy stuff right
yeah,
here.
and it was actually a
Yeah.
really cool looking shot. I go,
Yeah.
as you can see behind me, and some guy starts shaking the truck.
Oh, no.
Come on.
And Turner, he's such a good guy. Turner turns around and I wondered, he had a metal trash can on
Oh,
the
my
thing with
gosh.
us. And he takes the trash can and he looks at the guy and he goes, if you don't stop shaking the truck, I'm going to dunk this on your effing head. And the guy goes, oh, and runs away. And I go, have you ever had to throw that? He goes, never. It's just a tool.
Yeah.
And
So-
he got me through it.
I had one in Vegas when I was standing. I remember when Lamar Odom overdosed at the hospital. I was at the hospital. I drew that assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were doing broadcasts from outside. And all of a sudden I see it was kind of like it's not a great area of town, the hospital they brought him to. There was like kind of people walking by, all the news media, and they're sort of trying to distract you. But at one point, somebody kind of got into it with my producer, and I could see some ruckus going on in the background. And I'm supposed to be giving this very solemn update.
Yeah.
So like I absolutely cannot react. I have to just totally block it out. And then at one point, the cameraman leaves his position, so it's just me talking to the camera with
So
no
you're
one
still in
holding
the
it.
air,
Yeah, he's on
but
a
he's
tripod.
locked. Yeah.
And he had to leave the tripod to go make sure my producer was okay and keep this person who's trying to interfere with us on. And I was like, literally anything could have happened. Like somebody could have gone up to the camera. Like, oh my God.
Yes, security
Just
is
keep
not,
talking.
It,
Oh my
it is
God.
not always readily available
No.
on TV news live shots. That's for sure. So we asked the question earlier. I think Greg asked it. If you owned the Chargers, Scott Kaplan, would you fire Brandon Staley?
Oh, no. This is a loaded question for him. I know what he's going to say, and it's not what you think he's going to say.
Finish it for me, George.
He says, absolutely not. I would not fire Brandon Staley because he wants complete anarchy when it comes to the Chargers.
Right. I want him to get a contract extension.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't think he's getting a contract extension, but Cappy, I honestly wouldn't fire him. It's not like he's getting blown out. It's not like Chip Kelly at UCLA. He's getting blown out.
But I have come Cap's way on this. His specialty, in theory, is supposed to be defense, and they can't stop anybody.
No.
So, George, you would change the coach, probably?
I think you have a young, talented quarterback who is
4 touchdowns yesterday.
Just like, he's a top 5 or 6 guy. Like, you got to get a better situation around him.
And they
But
keep
isn't it
adding
interesting?
good players every year.
Yeah. Right.
Like every year they're adding 3 free agents that should help.
Right. So, like, they spent money on a quarterback when they had him in his rookie contract, and they had to pay him now. So now he's got all the money, and they spent money on a Khalil Mack and a Joey Bosa and a guy like J.C.
And
Jackson.
a Derwin James.
Right, Derwin James. J.C. Jackson they got rid of. They sent him back to New England where he came from, and he didn't even make the trip with the team this past weekend because he's got discipline problems. I mean, they got the wrong guy, spent money on the wrong guy, and the guys that they spent big money on, like Bosa and Mack, Khalil Mack had one game where he had 6 sacks. It was amazing. He's got like 8 sacks for the season. Joey Bosa looked great last week against the New York Jets. He didn't look so good yesterday against the Detroit Lions. So the numbers tell you that the Chargers beat teams that are bad, and they lose to teams that are good, other than the Tennessee Titans
The
who beat them
problem
this year.
is that what ends up fooling you, and I don't know about fooling if it's even the right word, because they are competitive with these good teams, right? Like they lost to the
That's why I wouldn't fire
They
him.
lost to the Dolphins in the first game of the season on like one play, basically, and at the end. And the same thing with the Lions. The Lions won, as the buzzer went off, basically. So it can be misleading, but at some point the common thread seems to be that they are losing those games against the better teams on a regular basis.
Right, but the teams they beat, like the Vikings were 0-2 at the time, and there was a controversial finish to that game. Do you remember how the Vikings didn't spike the ball? They couldn't get they couldn't get the last playoff. They beat the Raiders when the Raiders still had Josh McDaniels. They beat the Bears, who are one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they beat the Jets, who obviously are not very good. I mean,
But
they
you
have really
love
good defense.
the Jets. You've turned on the Jets now, but you loved them.
Well, I like teams that go on Hard Knocks. So, for example, I love the Detroit Lions because I got to know those guys. I liked the Jets because I'm a Aaron Rodgers fan, and I thought Zach Wilson would be ready to play when the time would come. I didn't expect it to be 4 plays into the season.
By the way, Cap, I have the same exact reaction to Hard Knocks that you do. I don't understand why so many teams don't want to do Hard Knocks.
Well, the Dolphins are doing it in season. Did you see that?
But that's
crazy.
Every time one of those teams does it, I end up rooting for that team more. Are you the same way, Cap?
Yeah, totally. I love Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I don't watch Hard Knocks anymore, though.
Me neither. I haven't seen it.
It's been years.
All right, Sedano and Cap are coming up next with a full show. Both guys are here.
Full show.
And it's the preview to tomorrow
News to
night's in-season tournament extravaganza
at
Crypto.com.
Sell it hard.
Gold court.
Tickets still available for the Lakers rematch of last year's first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, there we go. That's how you
sell it.
sell it.
Better than that. Sedano and Cap next. Thanks, Momo. ESPN.